the beginning, there was nothing. And then there was the Drunken Peasants Podcast.
I gotta get a witness. No!
Say, man, you got a joint? No, not on me, man.
I don't have facts to back this up.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
That's true. Sometimes I cry.
Oh! Lick my butthole, he laughed.
From the strangest corners of the internet, here to bring you opinions of the world from an altered perspective. Here are your hosts, the Drunken Peasants.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Drunken Peasants Podcast. This is episode 1011.
Do it live!
We're doing it live again. We're back. We got MrGirl. Welcome, MrGirl. Thanks for joining us. Hello.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. So, we'll just get right into it. So, your channel. How would you best describe your channel and your content and what you try to do with it?
Well, it depends on the purpose of the conversation. If I'm trying to get an interview with somebody, I usually call it a variety channel. Because then the people don't look, they don't ask too many questions. But if I'm, I would say the goal of my channel is to increase empathy. It's a political channel, social commentary. And I'm also an artist.
Yeah.
I think my videos are art. And I'm following my artistic, political instincts and trying to bring people together, including people who hate each other and people who hate themselves. So it's all about humanizing people and accepting.
Like Putin?
And sometimes, humanizing Putin. Good example. Yeah. So I had an interview. Anti-vaxxers. So I had an interview with a Russian professor who came and sort of gave the Russian perspective, the most acceptable, educated version of the Russian perspective of the special military operation. So I humanize Putin, humanize anti-vaxxers, Nazis, serial killers, mass shooters, racists.
Do you identify with any of those?
Hosts. Do I identify as a mass shooter? No.
Yeah, or like
what do you mean by identify? What do you mean by
Nazi or anything? Do you
with?
identify with any of the people that you humanize?
No. I mean, the whole point of empathy is that you're humanizing people who are different from you.
Yeah.
No, that's sympathy. Empathy is when you can see a likeness.
Empathy is taking on the emotions and thoughts of other people.
Correct.
Not because you.
So you would have to identify with it in order to be empathetic, wouldn't you? Even if
I don't
that
think
time,
so.
even if for that time frame. Otherwise, you're not very empathetic, are you?
Do you think if a therapist has a construction worker as a client, the therapist becomes a construction worker?
So you're a therapist, not an empath.
Are you changing the subject, or are you?
No, that's what you just.
Do you want
to? That's what you just did.
Do you think that therapists empathize with people?
Yes.
Do you think if a therapist empathizes with a construction worker that they, for the period of that session, identify as a construction worker?
No, but if the construction worker is talking about things that concern him as himself as a construction worker, he has to take on the thoughts of a construction worker for that time. That's what makes him a good therapist.
No, okay, so then yes. If you mean by take on the thoughts and feelings of other people, that is what empathy is. I agree. But identifying, I think, is good. Identifying, I think, is when you actually are losing empathy. You're no longer able to separate yourself from the person you're empathizing with. You think that you are that person. That's no longer empathy. To me, empathy requires that you understand you are not the other person, but you understand them.
Were you molested as a young kid?
God.
What? I'm trying to be empathetic.
I don't think I was.
Am I bad at it?
I don't know. I don't have a lot of empathy.
You were, and it's okay. Pretend we're alone.
There's a I don't like the way you're starting this conversation.
Well, I don't like you.
It's a mix.
I don't like your face.
I can see that.
but I want to kiss
I
you.
can see that.
I want to kiss you on the mouth.
I understand.
It's called
But
empathy.
If you're gonna be
fake,
super combative,
don't fake. You're faking with me, and I don't like it. Be real with me.
If you're gonna be super combative,
It's not combative. I feel sorry for you if you were molested. I was too.
I need you. Here's the thing.
You need me to what?
I can't be seen in public being disingenuous, and the way that you're talking to me
is going to
there
make
is
you
no
be
way
disingenuous. You cannot be honest with me by the way I'm talking to you. I'm pushing you into a corner, aren't I? I'm making you do something you don't want to do. Is that correct?
No, you're just making it so there's no way to have this conversation with you.
Why? Because of your pride. Your pride is at stake. Why don't you just lay lower for a second? Meet me where I am. I'm filth.
Not
I'm
because
trash.
of my pride, but because you are not.
Pretend I'm a
being genuine.
pedophile and sympathize with me. Give me some nuance.
Yeah, what would the sympathy be here for you, Joe?
For Joe only. Good job,
The
Joe.
sympathy for
The
Joe
rest
is
of
that
you be
he's
more
conflict
like Joe.
avoidant, but very angry, so he doesn't know how to handle being mad at somebody and being genuine at the same time.
I'll fix your.
Oh, I can do both. You're wrong. You're a bad therapist.
Okay, so then if you want to have if you want to have some kind of argument or conflict, that's fine. But you cannot pretend that everything you're saying is a joke.
I
need
was
you to not
defending
be-
I was defending pedophiles before you were, and I'm angry that it's become your brand. Nobody cared when I did it. And you're winning now. And it bothers me. I have many pedophile friends because I don't want to be seen as a pedophobe. And that's why I want to be friends with you, because it's clear you're a pedophile, and I'm not judging you for that. It's obvious. It's the most obvious thing in the world. And you cleverly disguised yourself as a pedophile to do it. That was next brain. That's next level thinking. Okay?
That was the one rap song you did, I'm a pedophile.
Wait, now, Billy, you can't pretend that we're just having a normal podcast conversation. You either
He's good
you
cop.
need to have some kind of no, I don't
I'm
want to.
good cock,
I'm
Joe's
not
bad
gonna,
cock.
I'm not gonna. I know, I get it.
You're the
I'm
lucky
not gonna
Pierre.
switch channels.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna switch communication styles back and forth rapidly whenever one of you speaks. So I need you to figure out what kind of conversation we're having.
I mean,
If this is some kind of listen, I have an editor.
Yeah,
just
His
be
name
yourself.
is Jim. His name is Jimmy. And Jimmy,
Hi, Jimmy.
has a rule. Jimmy has a rule that I can't let stupid people call me a pedophile for money.
Mm-hmm. That's a good rule.
And now,
now I'm very
it
smart,
is
and
a
I
good
think
rule.
you're a pedophile. So, Jimmy, what do you think?
And you're starting to get close to me breaking the rule, which means I'm going to have to leave.
Oh no!
So if you want to have a genuine conversation,
Don't do that.
I will.
Please no. Please no.
Hey,
don't do it.
Joe,
don't do it.
if you okay, so do you want to stop talking?
Yeah.
No. All
I'll
right.
stop.
Okay.
I'll stop.
I'm fine. If you want me to leave, I can leave.
No,
I'm
I
happy to
don't
leave.
want
But
you-
It
I don't
doesn't
want you
matter.
to
It
leave.
doesn't matter. Come, go.
I don't want you
stay.
to leave.
Go. Lay down. Sit up. Whatever.
All right,
Just
so
get
then
that
I need
stupid
the-
blank
I need the
look off
three
your
of
face
you-
first.
Yeah.
I need the three of you to figure out what you're doing.
Oh, it
and I
doesn't
need you to
matter.
figure it
You
out.
can log off right
Pretty-
now. Nobody
pretty
gives a
quickly.
shit. Nobody gives a shit. Do you understand?
Okay.
We can carry this
All right.
without you.
I was.
You understand?
I was interested in a lot
Yeah,
of things,
I do.
so maybe we could find ourselves together on another platform if this isn't going to work. Because I was interested in your rap career.
Yeah.
When you came out with the song, like I knew.
Wait, so you're inviting me on a different live stream?
No, not a different. I mean,
later?
I'm on the internet. You're on the internet. I might be able to ask you these questions some other time if we're not going to be able to do it here.
No, we can do it.
I didn't intend for the conversation to end so quickly. I had a lot of
There's nothing
good
wrong with
questions.
being a
I need you guys.
pedophile.
I need the three of
There's
you.
nothing
I need
wrong
the
with
three of you to. I need the three of you to figure this out, and I
Yeah.
need you to do it in the next 3 minutes.
Listen, you were born a pedophile, and that's okay. That's the framing I'm going to use from here on.
I mean, it's obviously not gonna get course corrected at this rate.
It's over. It's over. And in
I
fact, that doesn't mean you molest kids. It means you fantasize about it all the time. More than 6 months. That arbitrary designation. As a matter of fact, I saw
We
that.
spent
talk.
about, what,
wasn't very good, was it?
an
It wasn't a great
hour
talk.
on the car ride here watching content, and you're
Yeah.
gonna blow it all up.
Yeah. I mean, I've got nothing else, Joe. So
Oh, you got me.
kind of
Don't worry
want to
about it.
like.
You got me. Don't worry.
No.
This is like the Pipmunk episode. Remember?
This is a lot like that. Yeah.
Or the Tim Pool.
All right, you got 2 minutes to pull this.
No,
out
sign
of the
off
fire.
now.
And
Now,
let-
this
honestly,
is-
let
Joe,
me
sign off now.
let me make myself.
Sign off now.
Joe,
Let me
I'm
make
calling an
myself
audible.
clear. Let me make
What are you
myself
doing,
clear. I'm fine if you want to have an argument, if you want to have a discussion about what you calling me a pedophile or whatever, I'm fine with it being combative. My problem is that, one, you're being combative, but somehow pretending that you're not being combative, so that I can't actually push back against anything you're saying. Two, your co-hosts are pretending as though there is not a fight happening, and asking me questions as though you're not here.
This is how
So
I make
need
friends.
You,
for real.
okay, that's fine. I need
you
some
to
sort of
empathize with me.
consistency. I need some sort of consistency in how
This is what
genuine
this
we're
is.
going to be.
This is what this is. It's
Yeah.
as genuine as it's going to get.
I was attempting to course correct and get back into a conversation, but I don't think it's going to work. That's the problem. I definitely.
I'm just being performative.
I had definitely planned to have a conversation
to prove I'm not a pedophile. That's the truth.
But yeah, I don't think we're gonna get anywhere beyond this. Like
The
if
only
you have,
problem.
if you have your
the only problem
yeah.
so far.
yeah.
That there's only one. MrGirl, you're pretending to be something you aren't. You like me, and you find me funny, and you want to kiss me. Now admit it. You can sign off now. You're lying to me. I think you should sign off.
All right, Ben.
Yes.
It was a pleasure.
Is this it?
I don't know. Like, I had a whole bunch of stuff written down that I thought we were going to go through.
All right, I'll step out for a while. You guys talk. I'll be back.
Okay.
To be completely honest, we've been Ben, you prepared for this. You sent some stuff for us to watch. Joe and I on the car ride here, we're watching the recent interview you did with
He was a psychologist.
the psychologist.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were it was a hour-long drive, so we were watching a lot of stuff. I know Joe and I were talking about a lot of things on the ride here that I thought we would get into, but it was not the case. So I'm kind of I don't know, trying to collect myself, get back into talk mode.
Yeah, Joe sometimes likes to throw a monkey wrench in things.
Yeah, it's kind of his thing. I never know what type of Joe I'm going to get, though. I think the best part was that we were very much on the way here handling this like we were going to have a real conversation.
Really?
Yes.
I don't.
On the way here, Joe and I were talking about watching all the points, talking over the stuff back and forth with the psychologist, the interview you did with the psychologist, and we're like bringing up topics and points to talk about, and then right off the bat, it's like, nope. Not gonna be one of those days.
Yeah, I just I'm fine with talking about any topic you guys want to talk about, and I'm even fine with it being confrontational.
Yeah, of course.
I just there's a certain bad faith. Bad faith would be the word that I would use. That there's no way to engage with it that is not embarrassing for me, and that it doesn't make me look bad. It is the definition of Jimmy's rule. So I can't really engage if that's how it's going to be.
Yeah. Do you ever watch Louder with Crowder? You ever see Steven Crowder? He has his dad. His dad gave him a rule, and his dad gave him a rule not to engage with people too. So I think that's a common thing in cases like this where you can't be held accountable when you do back out of something. Because like you're not representing just yourself, right? You're working with a team of people. So I would have understood if you had to leave. It's just like it's not just you. But
yeah,
I've seen it before. Is all I'm saying.
I have to steer the ship.
Yeah,
the MrGirl enterprise.
Are you thinking like what's your 5-year, 10-year plan for this?
I have no idea.
Because I know on the interview you did, yeah.
Just the rug gets pulled out from underneath me so often that I don't think I can predict where I'm going to be in 5 years.
Yeah, I first saw you with your review of Cuties. I think that's how a lot of people first came to know you. And when you disappeared after that, I never thought I'd see you return. And then
I think his channel got terminated, right?
Yeah, but it's just like that was such a big like public outcry.
Yeah.
A lot of people really
I was I was banned for 4 months, and then magically one morning I woke up and I had my channel back.
Did they tell you why? Like it was just a YouTube thing?
No. Yeah, it's just YouTube. No
So
clue
strange.
why I got banned or unbanned.
That's the unbans are very rare. That's
Did you put in an appeal and was it rejected?
Yeah, I put in an appeal and it was rejected. I put in, I think, 3 appeals. They were all rejected, and then
I don't know how.
Yeah,
that
months
happens.
later, after I'd given up hope, and started this channel, which is my alt. One morning, got the email, and my channel back.
so the song you wrote. I've only seen "I'm a pedophile and I kill pedophiles."
Yeah.
You said you're an artist. Like these obviously aren't your first rap songs. They're not your first music pieces. Like when did you start making music?
I had a newsletter in college, and I made a couple rap albums. I think one had 5 and one had 7 songs. And I burned 500 CDs of each, and handed them out at college. So that was kind of where I first started figuring out like how to make a rap song.
Did you ever do like live appearances or shows or anything?
No, done some karaoke, but
Yeah.
never. Oh, I guess I rapped a short rap that I wrote in high school. My friends and I hosted a freestyle battle in my high school.
So the whole
it was like this. It was the same year 8 Mile came out, so really we should host a freestyle battle.
Yeah.
The whole "I kill pedophile" song, I kind of interpreted that as you kind of making fun of the way everyone virtue signals. They talk about how much they want to kill the people that they don't want. Yeah, they're obsessed with people not thinking they're a certain way, so they say they'll kill whatever.
Yeah, virtue signaling to the extreme degree where you are now calling for political violence. Yeah.
Like the punch a Nazi thing? Is
Yes.
that the same.
Or and he
yeah.
mentions like killing people, going into abortion clinics, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you're such a good person that you kill people. It's,
Right.
It's
But
a disturbing trend.
We do kind of like make heroes out of killers sometimes too, though, right? So it really just matters on what you kill for.
Yeah, I guess. I'm very against killing people for their ideas, which is one reason that pedophiles are a pretty interesting topic to me.
When did you like? When you talk about it, like with this doctor, you were talking with a doctor, and you were saying, "Are fantasies dangerous?" Right? And the doctor was saying it's like fantasies can be dangerous, and depends on the person. And you were kind of like riding him, saying, "What was it?" There was a line where you say fantasies are dangerous here, but
Because he was saying that pedophilia is not the best predictor of child abuse. That like substance abuse and lack of empathy are better predictors. And so I felt like he was contradicting himself on like, how dangerous is it for somebody to have attraction to children? How much does that mean that they are likely to offend or abuse a child? And I think what I came to thinking about this, which he didn't really want to say, is that there's some thoughts and feelings that maybe are dangerous, but we still need to protect the right to have and express them anyway.
Yeah, you were on the side of saying that like you shouldn't like he was saying the psychologist or the guy was saying that you shouldn't babysit if you have these feelings, and you were like on the side that you shouldn't like not babysit. Is that what you were trying to defend?
I think well at a certain like I don't think anybody wants a pedophile babysitting their kids.
Yeah.
Like even if they're going to behave perfectly well. The idea that someone's going to feel with my kids the way I would feel like babysitting like a house of sorority girls is weird. Like, so obviously if there's non-pedophiles to hire, you prefer them. I think I was trying to get him to, and I think he didn't want to do this, which is understandable, but I was trying to get him to draw a line of like, what do you think is a normal, tolerable amount of attraction to minors, latent or realized or whatever? Like, is there a way you can quantify what the line is where you think, okay, now this person's become a danger to children? And he didn't really want to do that, but I understand why.
Yeah, and this guy had actually written an article
question
that I had shared with MrGirl, and that's why he interviewed him, because it was
true. You were the cause of all that.
Yeah. And mainly because I see the internet culture, and it is, especially the internet culture, is performative about it a lot of times. It's like, look how much I'm not a pedophile. I'm going to accuse everyone I don't like of being one. And I see a lot of hypocrisy in that.
Yeah, for sure. And so, partly in the interest of empathy and partly just in the interest of honesty. I mean, I think admitting that we have thoughts and feelings that we should not act on or would not act on, including sexual thoughts and feelings, I think we're getting cornered into no one wanting to admit they've thought about anything they wouldn't do. And it just seems like a anti-thought, anti-imagination, anti-fantasy, anti-sex almost puritanism that is driven by fear and not by honesty. I want to cut through that.
I think when it comes to like the vilification of pedophiles, like there's a good reason you call everybody a pedophile if you hate them, because it's a horrible thing, right?
Yeah. Like, now we need to differentiate between pedophiles and child molesters, because not all are one and the same.
Well, even if you're not a non-acting, it's still a terrible thing to have those thoughts.
It's a mental condition.
It's just have to deal with that.
It's terrible for you. Yeah, it's terrible for you.
Yeah.
But usually when you're calling someone a pedophile, you're saying they're terrible for everybody else.
But it's like that's just one thing. When you call somebody something, even if they're not that, like it's offensive for so many different reasons, but it's really offensive to however the person takes it. If the person takes it because they're offended because they're saying that they're gonna go hurt other people, whatever, or if they're take it because like it's you never want to be called something you're not. So it's like I understand why people would call somebody the that word just to attack them, because society looks at them poorly. I think like you're coming from the stance that like what is your stance on everything exactly around this? Like what do you think the goal would be for like the perfect world where we would be accepting to what extent? Like what is your utopia for pedophiles?
I think my pedophile utopia.
Yeah.
I think the most controversial thought I have there is that I think people have a right to get off, including pedophiles. And that doesn't mean that they have a right to abuse children or that they have a right to look at child porn.
Yeah.
But that is one, the last concern on anybody's mind about pedophiles is like, is there a way, and I think it should be the first concern, even if you're disgusted by pedophiles or you hate them and all you want is to protect children. Is there a safe way to satisfy pedophiles sexually as a society without involving children at all?
I mean, whatever someone does in their own mind, we can't really, especially if they don't tell anybody, we would never know.
But like solving this without hurting children in any way would be good for society. Because if they are satisfied, they're not going to stray and act in an illegal way, right?
So then the question is like, does giving a pedophile a robot that looks like a child as a sex toy, does that increase danger to actual children? Does that increase the prevalence of pedophilia? Is pedophilia like a treatable condition? But if you give them a robot, then they don't want to treat it because they're so excited about like. I think there are legitimate questions raised, and I'm not going to just say like I lean towards the side of like sure, give them robots, but then part of me is like, do you want your neighbor, even if you never see it and never even know about it, do you want your neighbor fucking a photorealistic looking like robot child in their house? Maybe. I actually don't know
but
if
like, does it matter what
I don't know.
Does it matter what you want for your neighbor, right? Like, here's what I want for my neighbor. I want to stay off my fucking lawn and stay away from my fucking kids, right? Like, that's what I want for my neighbor.
But there's something, okay, but I can acknowledge, as much as I challenge this, there is something horrible about picturing your neighbor fucking a real looking robot child in their house.
But then don't picture it, right? Like, like that's on you. Like if your thought crime is going to combat with their thought crime, like you have to control your mind. You have to do the best you can to keep them away from any actual harm.
Like kids will know about these robots too.
Probably kids know about shit they probably aren't mature enough to understand a lot of times.
Yes.
Well, is that psychologically safe to raise children in a society that makes child sex robots that look and act like real children? Like that could be damaging.
It could be.
Of like to kids, to say to kids like, yeah, some of us want to fuck you, so we're going to make basically clones of you and we just fuck them. You're safe though. This is all to protect you. My point is that like I see a lot of counter arguments, and I kind of even believe some of the counter arguments to simulated child porn and the direction that's heading. I think it should be legal, but
can't they just go watch an anime or something?
Yeah, so anime I don't really have bad feelings about. I'm like if it's illustrated, like clearly illustrated, or like a story, I think that's fine. I think it only starts to make me get that feeling. So, like if someone's fucking their dog or fucking like a cow, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't really affect me, but I just don't want them to do it anyway. And just because it's upsetting, I guess. And a lot of, I guess my point is I want to validate the counter argument that like, no, it's fucking freaky and upsetting and it makes me freak out. That I want that to be a genuine counter argument. I'm not trying to cut that down and say like, well, that like if you can't logically prove why it should upset you, then it doesn't matter. I think that we should take everybody's feelings into account on this issue. So I guess my utopia is to find some way to have people be satisfied, including pedophiles, that does not involve children and does not horrify everybody.
What if we don't need a robot? What if we can just give them a pill that like deads their urges, and they have no sexual?
You mean like chemical castration?
I mean, it wouldn't say chemical. Maybe
that's
like,
what that is.
It's just they take the pill and they don't have any sex drive at all.
That's chemical castration.
Good. Yes, let's give them that pill.
Yeah.
If they get to a point. They get to a point where they want to act on it. If they get to a point where they can't get it out of their mind. A lot of people have suicide, and they give them a pill to deal with their suicidal ideations. So why not give them a pill?
If we gave everybody a pill, there would be no more rape.
But we don't give. We only give pills to people who feel like they're having a problem dealing with their thoughts, right?
Well, I think rape is common enough that we could say that all of us at some time or another feel like we're having problems controlling our urges.
It's so much easier to control people than to control your urges.
Another thing that I've heard you. Oh, go ahead.
My point is that if we set out to kill the urge, this is what I'm afraid of on social media, the idea of killing every part of us that wants to do something that is a bad idea. It feels inhumane to cure our sexual urges, and we could do that for everybody, and there would be no more sex crimes. But I think as a society, and me personally, at some point we have to say it's worth sex crimes and rape and murder and all the terrible things that come with it in order to be able to hold on to our human sexuality.
So another thing I've heard you say a lot is that the social media companies are kind of enabling this because they allow adults, like Discord as an example, they allow adults to talk to children anonymously, unsupervised.
Yeah.
And
yeah, so my whole kind of like thesis going into this is that part of the reason we're so obsessed with pedophilia and child abuse online is that the platforms that we use and communicate on and have our careers on have provided a really unsafe situation for minors. And rather than kind of look to the platforms to solve that or to hold them accountable, instead we don't want to give up the tools that we're given. And also I think maybe it doesn't occur to us
20 for having this beautiful human being on your podcast. Drunken Peasants rule.
When we get those big donos, they read them off.
They interrupt.
So
I understand.
Excuse that.
No problem. So I think that I'm trying to reframe the conversation a little bit rather than like, are pedos good or bad or what's the age that's okay, is to say that like, do we really need like Dream to be able to have extended private calls and conversations with 12-year-olds? You know, like, why does he have, and I'm not saying Dream's ever done anything wrong, but like, why is that the kind of functionality that we need in this software? And like, I feel like it isn't, but it is financially motivated to allow it, and it would cost more money to stop it. And I think that rather than address that, we've fallen to moral policing and saying, well, if everybody, like, part of my point in all this is that like wanting to groom a 14-year-old is not that abnormal of an urge.
to groom a 14-year-old, like
yeah, that it's not that you like you're the way you're reacting is you'll say like, oh, like who the fuck would do that, when in reality, if you give the average man the access to a 14-year-old's nudes, a good number of them, enough so that I would say that it is almost a normal thing to do, would access those nudes.
You really you believe that, or do you have any like numbers for that, or is that just like coming from a personal experience? Like, where's this coming from?
Yeah, you can look up studies about how young men. Well, first of all,
what age are we talking about here? Like other teenagers?
I'm not sure.
Most child abuse is not done by pedophiles.
Well, so, it's not done by admitted pedophiles, right? Like,
well, no. See, it depends on how pedophilia is clinically defined.
Sent to me by Ben. I'm defining pedophiles as somebody who's attracted to prepubescent children,
and it's persistent, also.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. So.
But if you're consistently fighting it and you're not admitting to it, like, how do we really know where the real number is? Right?
Well,
it's all in your head.
I don't. Okay, I've known a lot of people who are sexually abused, and I've never known anyone who was abused by someone who seemed like, behaved like, or seemed to think like a pedophile at all. Usually, it seems like opportunism. Or just like in the article, the other predictors are alcohol or substance abuse or a lack of empathy. My point in all this is that if you give the average person the ability to groom a child and put the tool where they basically don't have to do anything, the child will, or not child, but a minor, a teenager, the teenagers are going to throw themselves at you, and all you have to do is just say yes, basically. You're going to get a lot more grooming than if you make it hard to do that. And so I don't think the moral policing perspective is that helpful, because we're just saying things that aren't true. We're saying things like, well, if I could see a 16-year-old, I'm 30, and if I saw a 16-year-old naked, they're just a kid to me, so I would never want to do that. A system whose child safety is predicated on that being true is not a safe system at all, because it's just not fucking true. The truth is that most people want to see teenagers naked, and give them the tools to do so with very little risk or of consequences. They will do that, and I think that is what is happening. I don't think there's a particular like rot in the Smash community. I just think that people are getting access to kids or minors and exploiting that access because it's fucking right there.
It could be access versus lack of decency. I think that people don't want to like look at teenagers because they're teenagers. In those cases, though, teenagers develop the the attributes that adults have. You know, like when you're 14, 15, 16, 17, you start to grow into adulthood. They're not looking at these kids because they're kids. They're looking at them because they have some of the things that they're accustomed to like as adults, right?
They're delightfully in between.
Oh, they're definitely in between. Like mentally, they're in between. Like they're not physically mentally adapted. Where the physicalities get there before they're.
Well, I mean, yeah. So a 14-year-old is physically and sexually like an adult, but they have the mind of somebody who won't ask you any questions and will believe whatever you say. It's easy to see why this happens.
Like, yeah, so like if you're a predator, like you would want to take advantage of somebody who is beneath you, right?
I'm saying even if you're not a predator, given the right tools, you will predate anyways.
You just mean in general or everyone?
Everyone.
Everyone.
Nearly everyone. Like, think of it this way. People who steal from Walmart now are either probably poor or kleptomaniacs. They're either compulsively stealing or they have a reason to be stealing. If you made it much harder to steal from Walmart, then fewer people would steal, and you'd think, oh, that person must be really poor, or they must really have some compulsion to steal. If you're making it really hard to steal and you get your hand cut off if you steal. If you made it much easier to steal from Walmart, like there are no more cashiers, and it's all just based on the honor system, I don't think it would really make sense. Almost everyone would start stealing, I would think. Like maybe 90% of people would start stealing from Walmart if they knew you could go in. There's no consequence. There's no security guard. There's no cameras. Technically, it's still stealing. It's illegal. There's a sign saying not to do it. We all know we shouldn't do it. I think a large number of people would just start rationalizing stealing. I don't think it makes sense. And this is a scenario I think we've created for minors and grooming online.
This
where
guy is next level Jared Genesis. Wow.
I don't know who that is. Where it's kind of the situation has made it open season, and now more and more people who like 20 years ago would these Smash players be sitting outside of a middle school in a van picking up kids? Probably not. But if their van's going to be delivered to their front door, then it makes it a lot easier. And so my point is that instead of moral policing, maybe we should look at the fucking van driver.
I don't know. I think the moral policing one held strong if like we had the criminal aspect intact, and people would be afraid to like people in this situation should be more afraid to talk to underage fans. I don't know why EDP. You familiar with EDP? He got yeah. So he got caught in public in high def, and he's still doing his thing, right? Like that's the problem. It's not that they have access; it's that nobody gives a fuck. This basically is the honor system.
I mean, like no, I don't agree with that either. If you want to make a serious case against EDP, you need law enforcement and you need somebody who's going to follow proper protocols. What these people are doing is for clout, and most pedo hunters online want money and clout. They don't actually care about protecting children.
That's true.
I mean, we found that out about Chris Hansen pretty easily.
Yeah, I didn't follow that. I know he's fallen from grace somewhat, but I don't know why or what happened. I've tried to interview him several times.
Well, I mean, part of the reason his popular show got canceled is because he disobeyed the rules of the local authorities and went to someone's house instead of snaring them into his bait house, and the suspect ended up killing himself while the cameras were rolling outside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and I did hear about that.
And then a lot of really
I didn't know that was him.
Horrible grifter type stuff that he tried under the guise of helping children, but really it was all about making money.
So this is the problem I have with pedo hunting too, is that there are a lot of people who could be talked into having sex with a 14-year-old, who otherwise won't. If it's not delivered to them on a silver platter, they won't do it. There are people who wouldn't rob a bank, but if somebody showed up with a van full of bank robbers and said, "Hey, dude, get in. We're doing this. It's all figured out. All you have to do is stand outside the front door and keep watch and push this button on your phone if you see a cop coming. We'll handle the rest." There are a lot of people who would do that if they say for $500,000, with a minimal risk of getting caught. And then technically you're a bank robber if you do that. And then if you agree to that plan, then you could go to jail for years. But who would never organize a bank robbery? Who would never go stick up a bank on their own? So the situation can and does heavily influence your behavior. And there's a lot of people who are in a gray area where they could be put in a situation like people in jail being gay. There's lots of people, if you ask them before they got arrested, would you ever suck a guy's dick? They would say, fuck no, get out of my face. I'll kill you, motherfucker. And then 6 months after they get arrested and they're in jail, they find themselves sucking a dick. I don't think it's that gay people tend to go to jail or jail makes you gay. It's just the fucking situation dictates that if you want to have sex, you got to be gay.
So you're saying in a world full of infinite scenarios, your assumption about what people would do with teenagers is likely? I don't know.
It's happening. It's not just likely. It's already happening.
Okay. I mean, I don't fully get the
my scenario is if there's a button on your phone that allows you to look at pictures of, say, a 15-year-old naked. Are you really feigning that you think that a lot of people wouldn't push that button if it were legal and they would never get caught?
I mean, if it was legal and they would never get caught, maybe. But here's the thing: there is a button you can press on your phone and you can watch 18 and up all day long. So like, I'm not thinking about 15-year-old like anything. Like if there's a line here, there's a line here that we can either cross and break the law or go the other way and literally have limitless buttholes, boobs, vaginas, dicks.
People are not binary.
Oh, but
I'm saying that there's a lot of people. They're like, haven't you ever talked somebody into some fucked up shit
all the time? Yeah,
they wouldn't have done on their own.
Oh yeah, all the time. I groom adults.
Great. So I'm saying that these services, like if I could have had a private chat with like Madonna when I was 8,
yeah, I
would have been sending her dick pics.
Yeah, well, you're not supposed to be on the internet under 13, right? All these websites have a protocol for 13 and under. Like you're
okay, great.
So you shouldn't be on there.
But they're not checking IDs, right?
Yeah, they're not.
They're not checking IDs, and the people being groomed are usually over 13 anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not hearing about Smash players with 9-year-olds.
Wasn't there like a girl Smash player that was like with a 12-year-old Smash player? She was like 19. It's a weird
I don't
community.
follow that shit at all.
It's a weird community.
I'm so oblivious.
Yeah. So my point is that it's not a weird community. It's a group of otherwise normal people who are having the chance to have sex with a minor dangled in front of them. And that is the difference. The situation is the difference, not their sexuality, not their psychology. That they're not unusual people. They're normal people in an abnormal situation.
And then it's the access given through Discord and other apps like that that make it more of a reality.
Yeah.
Okay. So
like me and Cuties. You know,
if they wouldn't have given you Cuties,
I'm not going out of my way to find videos of 11-year-olds twerking. But if you're going to deliver it to my doorstep, I'll watch it. That was kind of the whole point of the video, is that I'm saying, like, listen, I'm a pretty normal person. My sexuality is pretty normal, pretty average, I think. But I'm checking out these girls twerking, and like they're kind of hot. And so, to my point is, I'm saying if you put normal people in a strange or abnormal situation, then they're going to react in a way that makes you think that they are perverts.
So
you could get normal people to do all kinds of perverted shit if you give them the right tools.
You think you're normal, right? That's where you're coming from your perspective. You think you're about normal.
I think so. I think that's part of what makes my content like good.
Is excessive honesty always a good thing, do you think?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I think it wouldn't work if I were a pedophile. You can't really be a pedophile like empathy advocate if you're actually a pedophile. So I think that's one thing I learned from interviewing the virtuous pedophile guy is like I feel like you guys need to send somebody who's not a pedophile to talk about.
Are you familiar with Amos Yee?
Yes.
Yeah,
Right. So Amos Yee eventually it turned out he was a liar. He's not just a free thinker. He's a pedophile or some kind of sexual deviant for sure, he wants us to open our minds so that he can fuck kids. Eventually, seems like that was the end goal.
Yeah.
And so
So I think normal people look at people in your shoes and they think you're another Amos Yee. That's where I think the normal people lie.
Right. Because I'm saying, no, I'm just super honest. But like, there's a lot more people who want to fuck kids than people who are willing to be seen as wanting to fuck kids for the sake of their honesty aspirations.
In my mind,
it's very suspicious.
I
concur. I agree. Yeah.
In my mind, the level of normal is there's more people that just want to fuck anything because they're incels, because they're not having quality sex.
Christian?
I think the majority of normal people don't focus on fucking a type. They focus on wanting to fuck in general, and they're not sexually active, or the ones that are sexually active are fucking the wrong people, and they're having terrible occurrences. A lot of these women who are super sexually active are not getting their needs met either, and they're fucking like 4 times a week.
Right.
That's normal to me.
Yes, and I think part of what makes my Cuties review such a beautiful piece of work is that I'm not saying I like this movie because I have a particular fixation with 11-year-olds, or that I found the 11-year-olds hot because I specifically like 11-year-olds. I'm saying I don't really have a particular fixation with 11-year-olds, and I thought the dance scenes were kind of hot.
Yeah, It's funny to me, right? Like from my perspective, I think it's hilarious that you would say that. I don't think that's normal, but that's my perspective. So I'm just, when I asked you if from your perspective you think that's normal, and where everybody lies on that, I tried to show you where my normal was, and I don't think that's normal, but I do think that you have a point. There's a lot more people that aren't talking about it that probably do have those feelings, and I think when you bring up that number that 60% of assaults are done by people who are assaults on children are done by people who are not identified as pedophiles, I think that number dwindles quite a bit when you actually get the people to admit to what they are.
But here's the thing.
I don't think so.
I think there's a miscommunication on how pedophile is defined. A pedophile isn't just someone who does something with a child. It's a specific attraction exclusively to prepubescent children. That's
an attraction that behaves like a sexual orientation.
I actually have it pulled up in the DSM here.
Yeah, so they'll tell you that it's a sexual orientation in the DSM too, and basically that. Now, I don't think that's useful for talking about it to lay people.
It's sadism.
And I'm against referring to it as an orientation. I would say it's a disorder that functions like an orientation. I think that's like a kind of my middle ground way of talking about it.
There could be just to help Billy understand, there could be like a relative who wouldn't normally be attracted to children, but they're also an alcoholic and they had access to a
so
child.
That's the 60%.
Something like that. That's an example.
I don't know. Specify whether they're attracted only to children. There's exclusive type, non-exclusive type, right? So there are two different. They don't have to only be attracted to children to be a pedophile.
Yeah. Do you want to read the DSM definition of pedophile?
Yeah, I have it up right now on the screen. And also, that person has to be at least 16 according to this too. Like the perpetrator has to be.
And at least 5 years older is what they're saying.
Yes, and also
in criterion A.
And this doesn't speak to offending or not. And Max, I will point out, normally if this subject comes up on the show, I squash it because YouTube hates it. Yeah. I don't usually even let people say the word. I get mad when people even say the word. So this is going to be
the one time that you're going to talk about this.
Yes,
it's like Christmas for me. I just say pedophile.
He says it all the time.
The whole episode, I got to say it.
Yeah,
but
But there's flaws with the DSM definition. Like if I had a 15-year-old son, and he was like, "Hey, Dad, I can't stop thinking about fucking 2-year-olds. Am I a pedophile?" I would be like, yes. I wouldn't say like, well, according to DSM, not till next year. It's like, so they have to draw sharp like definitional guidelines, but I don't, and I think we should use the word kind of in keeping with that, but also understand that like it's got limitations when speaking like colloquially.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't need the DSM to like diagnose fucked up shit.
Well, you're not
mind.
diagnosing. You're just, you have an opinion.
Like there's like if we're misusing the word pedophile, I don't think the word pedophile is as important when you're thinking about violating people's consent.
Well, pedophile speaks to the attraction. Molester speaks to the offense. So you could be a pedophile without.
But an attraction to prepubescent children, and like so, I think part of my problem with the way pedophiles use online a lot is that if you are 30 and you groom a 15-year-old, then you're a pedophile. But that's not pedophilia.
It's still they're not old enough to consent, so it's still a crime, right? Like
it's a sex crime.
Yeah,
sure,
it's still a problem.
It's not. It's a problem, but it's not. You don't. If you want to have sex with a 15-year-old, you don't really have a disorder.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't need the disorder here when I'm trying to define what's right or wrong in this situation.
That's true, and that's.
I know, but we should use the right word though. Like if you're like, you can't tell me that if someone wants to fuck a 15-year-old and someone else wants to fuck a 5-year-old, that you think the same thing is wrong with both of them. One of them has a very different problem that is unusual. If you see.
Go on.
Like you see these stories about like teachers getting caught fucking students.
Yeah.
And like high school teachers, and you're not like you're like, oh, you shouldn't do that. You're not like, oh, why did you do that? When you hear about a teacher fucking a preschool student, you're it's more like, I have trouble understanding why you would do that.
Well, I think some people do say, why would you do that? Why would you have sex with a 15-year-old? Why? Like some people think that.
I guess I just don't believe that. I feel like it's pretty obvious why you'd have sex with a 15-year-old.
Well, because you can't control your urges, right? Like it's self-control is a real thing, right?
Exactly. But you know why they had the urge. You're questioning why they didn't control it.
Well, yeah, you know why someone
wanting to fuck a 5-year-old is a vastly more unusual urge.
Yeah,
I think.
It's
that's all I'm saying. So then we lump them all together with pedophilia.
Do we know what the percentage of pedophiles are in our general population?
I've seen estimates between 1 to 3% of men.
1 to 3%.
Are not exclusive pedophiles, but have like a strong, significant pedophilic.
And they're responsible for 40% of the sexual abuse against children.
Yeah.
It's a huge fucking number. Like when you say 60% are not pedophiles and you put that towards the 40%, it makes it seem like, oh, like 60% aren't even pedophiles. We can't focus on pedophiles. But this is 1% of the population contribute to 40% of the crime. That's a huge violation.
If those numbers are all correct, that would mean that pedophiles are like 10 to 20 to 30 times more likely to offend.
And at that point, I'm thinking chemical castration, a pill, to make them docile and not want to act.
Well, I think you would need to figure out what percentage of them actually do offend before you would go to chemical castration.
Well, I think a lot of it's going to have to be like voluntary for the person if they're having the same way. If you have suicidal ideations and you go and get medication for it, you have to like take the first steps to go get it, right? And if someone's going to a therapist saying, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing something terrible to a child,"
even homicidal tendencies.
Yeah, the homicidal, the same thing. They'll give you pills for that. Like we're in a society where that's a thing. I don't think that. If I have to choose between giving somebody like an expensive robot to sex with versus some pills, I'm okay with pushing the pill narrative. You know,
sure, but you know, I mean, like it's thought policing.
Well, it's definitely thought, like suicide medication is thought policing as well. Like we do thought police.
Yes.
When it becomes a problem that affects your personal health or the health of others around you, we will thought police, right?
Yeah, kind of. We usually don't force anybody to take any medication against their will unless it's to save their lives.
Yeah.
So
I don't think we do that to stop you from committing a crime, though.
I see Agent Buttfuck in the chat say I don't see how you can claim that someone who raped a kid isn't actually a pedophile. That's because, and I mean this honestly, and for some reason we're not allowed to talk honestly about this. Like, people get weird about it, but your definition of the word is incorrect. And if you talk to any psychologist or psychiatrist, they will tell you that it's not correct, and they'll tell you the actual figures on it. That's not leaning towards one direction or the other. It's just being honest about how it's viewed.
Just like if you fuck a guy in jail, that doesn't mean you're gay. Or if you fuck a guy once in your life, that doesn't mean you're gay.
I'm pretty sure just watching the wrong TV show makes you gay. My friends used to tell me that all the time. That was a joke about.
I get it.
It was a funny joke.
I think that wanting to slap a label on someone who is deviant or a sex criminal makes sense. And the temptation makes sense, but it's not. The problem is it leaves out all the people who would abuse a child for other reasons, not because they're specifically excited about them being a child.
Yeah, there's the access power dynamic. There's the alcoholism or whatever is in fucking with their thought process. There's the weird trauma that was done upon you from generations prior coming out. Like, there's so many ways that we can fail people, and people can fail at just simple tasks like not fucking kids.
I think the access part is a big part too, because we've seen what's gone on with the Boy Scouts and what's gone on with the Catholic Church and all sorts of big organizations where, for some reason, just because someone was given this position, they have access to children without supervision all the time.
You also have to think of, like, if it's a generational problem and it's becoming less of a condition and more of tradition, like maybe it was always there to keep these things in the shadows.
I don't know. I mean, it happens with teachers. I mean, a lot of times they say it's likely to come from someone like a family member even.
Yeah. The idea that strangers are going to take advantage of you out in public, like the fear of strangers, it is more likely that adults or people that will be the ones to attack you. That's like...
So I think that with the Smash community and online grooming in general, you're adding a ton of people to that people that you know category.
Yeah.
For minors.
Because I'm like, we all are on the internet. We all also have the advantages of being able to talk with our fans, right? Like, what's the age cutoff you're saying where Dream shouldn't be able to talk to a person in private? And is this something that Dream's doing? Like, is he doing like cameo calls for 12-year-olds?
I'm sure. My Dream seems
that was just a name.
So I'm not saying that he is doing it. I'm just saying that, like, he in particular has, like, literally millions of very young fans who would do fucking anything he told them to, who probably desperately want to be like his friend. I don't see a reason why a creator needs to privately speak to any fans, really, but definitely not anyone under 18. There's no reason for it. I can't think of a good reason for that.
But can you think of a good enough reason not to? Like, you're the one saying that thought policing is wrong, right? And this is just.
I mean, like, just think of it like hanging out. Like, if I told you I'm gonna go hang out with my friend privately, and you're like, oh, who's your friend? And I'm like, it's a middle schooler.
Like, are you playing Magic the Gathering cards with him? What's going on? Like why are you hanging out with a middle schooler?
You're okay with me playing Magic privately with a middle schooler?
I mean, if there's a reason, yeah, you could be tutoring him. Like, there's many reasons.
I said hanging. I said friend. I said hanging out with.
Yeah.
You're comfortable with this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think traditionally men keeping a boy for like mentoring is a regular thing. Keeping a boy. You know,
like
keeping
Milo?
a boy.
They're called
mentoring.
catamites, and it's fun.
Yeah, look, catamite. I'm keeping a boy. I'm a mentor. Sometimes you're just a mentor. Like I remember.
I said friend.
Yeah, but like but on the friendship level, right? There's a dynamic.
Big brothers and big sisters.
Yeah, the big brothers, big sisters is a thing. Like you could say as a friend, right? And then when you say it as a friend, when you're saying that you're on like a 1-to-1 peer level with somebody, that is weird. Because what do you have in common with a 15-year-old as a 25 whatever year old, 30-year-old? What do you have in common with a 15-year-old? Right? That's what I'm saying. Are you playing Magic the Gathering cards? Are you mentoring?
I think usually when you have a relationship with a child as an adult, there is some other adult or organization involved that in a supervisory role. Other people have to know about the relationship. The parents have to know, or the caretakers or whoever knows that this is happening. They know when it's happening, they know where it's happening, and they know why it's happening. It would be very unusual for me in real life to have like 20 or 30 middle schooler friends or freshmen in high school friends who I hang out with alone, have private conversations with that no one is aware of the contents of those conversations. And the only thing we know is that they look up to me and think I'm like a rock star. That would be really weird. But if I do that online, it's totally like accepted and like facilitated almost.
I think that this online thing is like, it's not a new thing. Like Elvis was with Priscilla when she was 14.
Oh man, rock stars got away with that.
This has been happening forever, and it's the sexual connection has been there forever. But you're gonna have like fan meetups before there was internet. You're gonna have access to all these groupies. You're pulling the groupies in from the back. You're gonna have access to this all the time.
You're saying
right?
You're saying private fan meetups with children. The only person who ever did that successfully was Michael Jackson. I don't know of any other celebrity who even wanted to have private fan meetups. I guess Elvis Presley. I think his wife was like 14.
Priscilla was 14 when he found her. Ted Nugent's got a string of history. It's all over the place.
I've heard MrGirl here say that when he was a kid, he would have went to the Neverland Ranch.
I had a huge crush on Michael Jackson. I would have sacrificed my butthole in his honor.
Is that a joke or is that serious?
I seriously was in love with Michael Jackson when I was a kid. Actually, my main fantasy was like that I would have dinner with him.
Are you gay or bi or was this just like a childhood thing?
I don't think one self-sacrifice to Michael Jackson defines my sexuality.
Well, I'll tell you what I think it does. But what I think doesn't matter, right?
There's another level to you though. Seriously though, because I've looked into your past and there's a lot of you kind of have a habit of saying things that are either provocative on purpose or just so brutally honest. People, I mean, you've gotten in trouble in the past, right? Like in school, you got in trouble.
Yeah. The idea that I'm like super focused on pedophilia as like an issue is not really true. It's more just that that has made the loudest and widest ripples of everything I've done on the internet. But
understandably
I've been talking. Sure.
And you've been riding that train with all the interviews and the big video essay you're playing.
The gravy
right?
train. I've made a lot of money talking about pedophilia. That's also
so. The first thing though is people thought you were racist, right? I saw an interview with you when you were a lot younger. It looked like it was like 15 years ago or so. A woman interviewed you, and I guess you were writing satirical articles that made people think you were racist.
I had a satirical newsletter in college, and like I wrote an article about I think the first real backlash I got was for an article called "The Myth of the Female Orgasm." And it was about how like I've determined through personal experience that women cannot have orgasms, and that this is like a cruel myth perpetuated upon women that makes them just hate themselves, and we should all just admit that women can't have orgasms and like, just get over it. That like people were very upset with me and saying that I was. I said like women like it when you just jam it in when their vagina is as dry as possible.
So what you
And
once knew
that-
was satire, now you don't know. Because earlier you said that you were attracted to a 15-year-old, and you said it honestly. I believe you. But you spoke as though that was a universal, like anybody would be performatively lying if they weren't de facto attracted to a 15-year-old by virtue of the fact they're 15 and sexy at 15.
By
You remember?
virtue of the fact that they're 15.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It seems like you had a better grasp on humor then than now, is all I'm saying. Now you've taken yourself seriously. You've confused yourself with the role. And that's why you didn't laugh at my friend Billy's very funny joke 25 minutes ago.
It was very funny.
It was very funny. I don't remember the joke, but it was hilarious.
Every joke requires, or everything that's funny, whether true or not, or satire or not, requires that there be one group of people who doesn't find it funny. There needs to be a backboard of humorlessness and offendedness that the joke bounces off of. And in a joke about women not being able to orgasm, you are in the in-group that finds it funny, and the backboard is like feminist women's studies majors. In a humorous comment or a rap song or whatever about pedophilia, you are the backboard that makes it funny for the people who do think it's funny.
What made the joke
I
originally
invite
funny,
you.
your joke was self-deprecation. The fact that you had done the research and women have never orgasmed with you, that was funny.
Yes.
Because you're sexually incompetent. Now, it's true, but it's
you
also funny.
But you also have to be willing and able to joke about the topic.
Yeah. So
even somebody who understood that I was being self-deprecating would still not find it funny.
Yeah.
I think female orgasm is not a myth, but that women don't deserve them. And if they want them, they can pull themselves up by their bootstraps and give them themselves.
I think you think there's a lot of power in you not laughing at someone's joke, even when it's really funny.
Yeah, I do that too.
I just didn't think it was funny.
You thought it was hilarious, didn't you?
So what was so if I can ask about the whole, I think it was Virginia Tech shooting thing. Did you actually get arrested?
I don't like that.
Because
no selling.
So you made a comment about how. So what? You can tell me the story so I don't get it wrong.
Are you a glowy?
Hold on. Let me answer my question.
I don't know what that means. The
explain
day
it later.
after the Virginia Tech shooting. Okay, I was in a class called Contemporary and Historical Issues of Black Women, and the director, the head of the Women's Studies department, already did not like me because of the aforementioned orgasms article. And much the way I feel about people talking about not being attracted to teenagers online, I was sitting in class watching my classmates one at a time in a discussion about the Virginia Tech shooting say, I cannot fathom why anybody would shoot up their school. This is a horrible mystery. I am definitely not a mass shooter. I've never had any impure thoughts about this, blah, blah, blah. Going around in a circle. And so finally, when it got to me, I said, anybody who says they never thought about shooting 32 people is lying.
And that's true.
And
now, have you ever looked at child pornography?
Your interview, I need you guys to figure out.
I need you to answer the
we're
question
doing.
honestly, or leave.
Yeah, if
At this
Joe's
point.
here, it's not going to work out.
Yeah, it's not. Gonna
So
work.
Yeah.
I'll say
Joe,
that right now.
Yeah, it won't work.
Okay, so I should just leave.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think so.
Joe, would you like to leave, Joe?
No.
Okay,
I'll stay.
He's in the room with us, so it's a harder to get him off the call.
You can try to move me if you'd like.
Are you saying that you're unable to stop him from doing this? There's an interesting dynamic. And this is what I was afraid of, Ben, in our DMs before. I was saying that this is exactly the shit show that I thought was going to happen because your own hosting team cannot internally decide what you're doing.
Yep. It's a problem. And you pointed it out. Thank you. You're great for many purposes.
I definitely didn't know how this was going to go today.
Have you ever looked at child pornography?
I don't think I have.
I don't think he's gonna indulge that.
Billy hasn't.
Jimmy,
I know I haven't. Personally speaking,
Jimmy is having a fit in the editing room right now.
Poor Jimmy.
I wish we could talk because you are literally the definition of the exact thing
you
that
like
I'm
to
talking
mock.
about.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And I've
you
embodied
would be a
it completely.
perfect.
I actually know you better than
have.
you know you. I know exactly what you dislike, and I know why you dislike it. I own you. Do you understand? You're mine now. You're kind of like a child, and I'm a pederast. That's kind of what's happening.
I did not
Except it's your
understand
mind
that
that
you
I'm
own me.
fucking. Do you understand?
See, Joe, what you're doing right
This
now.
is why you've threatened to leave 3 times. It hasn't worked. I've called your bluff each time, and now you're lingering. You don't know what to do. You want to be.
I'm not.
You know you do.
I'm not threatening.
And you're hoping to reframe it
I'm
that it's
not
our
threatening
confusion.
you.
We
I'm
know exactly
threatening
what's
Ben.
happening. Ben knows exactly what's happening. Ben knows
Ben,
exactly. He knew what was going to happen when I was
muzzle
brought
your
on.
dog, or I have to go. Are we done? Or are you going to?
He's a lot bigger than me.
All right.
Look, it will be actionable if we try and get Joe out of here. There's a lot of breakable shit in the room.
Okay. Well, thank you for the time.
It was a great interview.
that we had.
Yeah. Thanks for visiting.
Yeah, I appreciate.
And we'll see you later.
Appreciate you talking with us. I wish we could
We're
have got a
going to
little
talk
further.
amongst ourselves.
You
got
got a conversation.
Go.
Apologize.
You got
for
places to be.
it being
Porn,
shut down
child
so
porn
quickly.
to not watch or watch. What do you? We got to do one or the other.
Joe,
it's all right. You can tell us later. Don't worry about it.
You're
this isn't
terrible.
the forum. This
you're
isn't the
terrible
forum.
at grooming.
What?
You're terrible at grooming.
I'd make a rubbish groomer.
Oh, he left.
Whoops.
He left.
Poor guy.
You could have.
I really liked him too.
You could have groomed this conversation in your favor.
That no selling.
You went all in.
I could have. I don't
You went
care.
all in with no.
Listen.
With no lubricant.
Listen. This is what he lives for. I gave him what he needed. I gave his audience what they needed. You're welcome. You're welcome. If I had a YouTube channel, you'd join it, but I don't.
Oh my God!
Yeah, you guys did great. You guys picked it up even after it went off the rails.
Yeah. You know.
I really wanted to know more about his rap career.
Well, you know,
I want to know more about going to high
Jeff
school.
Holiday
with
was right
Vito.
about you. You suck so much pedo dick, or was
No.
it rich dick?
Jeff said rich dick.
Oh right, never mind.
Rich dick.
Yeah, did you catch that on the big debate between Asterios and Jeff and Billy on St. Patty's Day? Jeff goes, Billy, I fucking love you, but you suck more rich dick than anyone I've ever known. It was a great mic drop moment. And we've been trying to figure out what exactly it meant, and then we started peeling
I know.
back. You know.
I know what he
and
means.
You know,
I know what he means.
You know.
It's like rich and people with clout too. Like if you have either money or clout or both, Billy will defend you more often than he would anyone else.
Yeah.
So that's why he does it with. I mean, name them.
It's not true.
Shkreli, Keemstar.
Exactly.
I defend my
Alki,
friends.
me?
You're telling me I'm a good friend? I'm a good friend.
You're a good friend.
All your friends just happen to be rich and have clout.
Yeah.
Funny.
Not all of them. Many of them because I'm a
the
good
ones
person.
you defend.
Yeah, the ones you defend.
Because
You
I'm a
won't-
good person.
You won't defend the one without clout.
I defend you all the time. You don't even have a YouTube
No,
channel.
Yeah, I know, but you never defend me honestly. A lot of times you'll say, "My buddy Joe is a psycho." I'm sorry, or he's a bad person. What are you going to do? You won't
Well, come
say.
on. You don't want him to lie.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's all true, but he would lie for Shkreli. Is all I'm saying.
I'd never have to.
All those
I would
stuff-
never.
all those
I would
things
never
have to be
lie
true.
for anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck. I wouldn't. That's bullshit.
Hey,
I don't lie for anybody. I don't have to lie.
You're acting like MrGirl
I'm
right
in
now,
a
and I
room
don't like
full
it.
of liars, and I'm not a liar.
Oh, I'm good. We're good. Okay.
So just to clarify,
yeah.
some people, I could tell a lot of people in the chat very uncomfortable with this topic of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly, I am too, but I thought maybe we'd get it out of the way and we could discuss it openly with someone who makes that topic the majority of his content.
Yeah.
And I hope we just never have to talk about it again. I would.
I think it
would
was a
not,
great episode.
I would not care if the P word was never uttered on this channel ever again.
I hope that Joe just made a new mortal enemy for the Drunken Peasants podcast.
Oh, they'll be
and
MrGirl
Girl attacks us
eventually.
and becomes our new Brett Keane and makes us look like mental imbeciles.
So we'll be his Brett Keane.
It could be
Yes.
good. Yeah. MrGirl, I don't trust him. He's got a little Andy Kaufman in him. I know this. The way he blank stares, it's not an honest blank. It's a performative blank. You know how he accuses You know how he accuses anybody who thinks minor attracted people are disgusting as being performative? That's how I felt about everything he does. And it's okay. That's being satirical, and it's living your art to a degree. He did mention he was an artist, and he did mention he has a history of being a provocateur. All I'm saying is that gives him a condescending eye to anybody who's trying to play something straight. And when somebody attempts to play something straight, even if it's a simple yes or no answer, it calls him out, and it breaks up what he does best, which is pervert and confuse. He confuses categories, and he does very well at that. He shows you that demons are sometimes angels, and angels are sometimes demons. That has been my stated goal forever. And 15 years now, I've been talking about how pedophilia is going to become naturalized, and it's going to become naturalized because of the framing MrGirl is talking about as if it's a new idea. And I think it can't happen with a MrGirl as the face of it. He looks too creepy, looks a little too Jewish.
I think he is, actually.
Jewish?
Yeah, I think so.
Get out. Huge shock. God. And I think he's, in addition to all of that, I think he's also too autistic. He's too autistic seeming. He puts that on. He's not. He's profoundly unautistic, as a matter of fact, hence all the empathy talk. But he's got that autistic blank stare down pat, and it's a power play. And he's trying to do that to basically say, I dare you to think I'm kidding. Well, what I did was I dare you to say that I'm wrong for saying you are kidding, and this is what we're doing. And then it was a pissing contest that I had to leave the room for because, you know, he's a liar.
My stance on it is we should have a better understanding of what psychiatrists and psychologists say and how they define these terms. But I don't get the whole, like, oh, everyone would bang a 15-year-old if
exactly.
they could.
And
that's where I'm like,
exactly.
I don't
and
really
the devil's
like
in the
that.
details. That's the whole point of MrGirl.
Yeah.
It would be fine if it was that, but what he's trying to do is transform it. He's talking to Dr. K in that 2-hour talk. I recommend everybody watches it. They throw around a lot of statistics, some of which contradict each other. But that's another topic. The main crux is this. At some point, he's trying to say that people having their children, or having children, should rethink having children, for example, just in case they get to a point where their child is a teenager, and lest they become attracted to the teenager.
By the way, I don't believe Dr. K is an actual doctor, but the other person that he talked to is an actual
Yeah, kind of like when someone is an uncle, but they're not your actual uncle.
Right.
I see what's going on.
They're just like your dad's friend or something?
No, they're just like a creeper. Keep them away from the kids.
Yeah. And yeah, it's obviously rife. This topic is rife for a facelift more than any other topic. We've had the framework ready for a very long time of how to transform this. USA Today finally did a piece about how it would be presented, and this is going to be the way forward. They said, USA Today, pedophilia, is it in the genes? Or new information suggests that it starts at birth. This is going to be the framing. It's going to be the framing. It's going to work.
I mean, you could say that about... You could say that about any mental illness, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's going to work. It's just how it happens, when it happens, whether it's people like Vito, who is a classmate of his, popping up at the same time.
Vito is hilarious, though.
He is funny, but he's using the same exact talking points that MrGirl does for when it comes to this. It's very odd that it comes in tandem. Very odd that it comes, I'm just saying, they might be glowies. They seem to be glowies.
I don't even know what that is.
A glowy is a fed. Like, MrGirl could be the type of person, hypothetically speaking, I'm not saying this happened, that would watch child pornography, that could get busted for it, and could get roped into some intelligence scheme. It happens a lot, more frequently. There's only 500 people on the internet. He's one of them. It happens. It happens all the time.
There's 500 people on the internet. Everyone else is a Russian bot.
Exactly.
Or the CIA.
It's Vito, and it's MrGirl, and there's a crux to this whole thing. Vosh has even talked about, how we've all looked at lolly porn. I didn't even know what lolly porn was.
No, I didn't learn about any of this stuff until I started working on the internet full time.
Yeah.
Like, I was so naive to all of that sort of shit. Even stuff that's not as extreme as, like, just furry stuff. I didn't know about any of that stuff.
Yeah. Where he gets the point, and this is where the Mott and Bailey starts. He has a good point where we're suffering because we're conflating three things that are largely unrelated. Pedophilia, hebephilia, and ehepophilia. Those are not the same thing, and at root they shouldn't be considered the same thing, even though they're all illegal. And they should not be brushed with the same stroke. One has something that is very far from the norm. The other one is attracted to people that may or may not have adult traits at a certain point, and that's what they're attracted to, even though it's on somebody who is not legally of age. And then he could further argue that what we have is a legal distinction for what constitutes as of age is in need of a facelift as well, and that might be the crux if you push him far enough. It's something he is. Now, what I distrust is why his empathy goes on this level and why he feels the need to talk about how, hey, Cuties was made available to me. I'm not debating as to whether or not that was wrong, that Cuties was made available to me to watch. But the fact that it was made me find it sexy. Now, he could be making a salient point that first, the impulse is followed by the exposure to something. This is an old, long debated thing that he kind of touches on with Dr. K. A lot of people believe that they can be sexually anchored to certain things. A lot of people who were raped, for example, end up having rape fantasies later on in their life.
Sure.
It's a repetition of trauma. This is a very, very profound psychological trait that is not talked about enough, except in some groups dedicated to trauma. But outside of that, it's not a mainstream idea. The attempt to replicate the trauma is profound in a lot of people. And in fact, what we found with a lot of people that were pederasts and repeat pederast offenders were they were in fact molested at a young age, and that seemed to have an anchoring, that first exposure. Now, these are all things that he could talk about if he was interested in shedding a light on it. And he is saying that he has a larger narrative in store. It's called the pedophile narrative that he wants to talk about in detail. But when he muddies the water and he confuses the issue, when he tries to make universal his peculiarities, when he starts talking about how, of course, 15-year-olds are sexy, right?
Yes.
When he starts talking about, that's where he loses a lot of people. And and I believe that is the point. I believe that is the point with what he's doing, and that's why I don't like him, and that's why I didn't give him the time of day. If he did it without that stuff, if he did it without trying to undercut it with satire or with something that could even be misconstrued as satire, if he did it without trying to say that his foibles are a universal thing that all of us have, then we'd have a very good interview, and he'd still be on right now.
I was just hoping to get an interview out of him.
Yeah, and you did great.
Yeah.
You did great. That's why, it was good that I left.
Yeah.
It's good.
Because he was about to leave, within the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, you did great.
PSA, a person who understands meta-irony and the gaslighting he uses to try and normalize pedophilia. Well done, Joe. As someone who wants to oppose the normalization and as a survivor, I deeply appreciate you breaking this down.
Thanks. It was a great comment. Thank you very much.
See, this is all the stuff that we were talking about for the last couple of days. I thought this was the conversation we were going to have with MrGirl on air.
Yeah.
No, he's a bad player.
That's what. Yeah. I just wanted I wasn't expecting everyone to agree with him.
Well, of course not. I'm not expecting the normal amount of people to agree with him as he suggests.
Right.
You wouldn't get an honest conversation out of MrGirl.
I didn't want an honest conversation.
Yeah, we just wanted.
You know
content.
what I wanted?
You got. You got what you wanted.
I wanted MrGirl to admit that I was funny. And you came in before I could make him laugh. You ruined everything, Joe.
He sold multiple jokes.
Yeah, of course.
And some of them were funny.
He was putting himself from right off the bat in a position of control.
Yes, he was trying.
You three need to
figure this out.
You did call that out.
Yeah, and exactly. you were telling him no.
That's
control.
not how this works.
I thought you were going to groom him into giving it up the butt cherry, but you just took it from him.
No, he's very stubborn, and he's not dumb. He's not dumb. He's a lot of things, but he isn't dumb. So he knew the limits of his bullshit, and he knew the limits of my bullshit, and it was just going to be who pisses first.
Yeah.
And lest the whole thing gets muddied for our viewers, I had to go for about an hour, and that's why I left, and that's why it went well. You guys did great.
We did our song and dance.
Yeah.
I just, at the end of the day, I wanted to see you two admit that you would maybe go family style on an of-age girl and split the difference in age. You could take the of age and say, this is my half. I'll take 18 years off of this 30-year-old, and you can have the 12-year-old half.
If it's not a provocation, if it's not esoteric, he is not going to say it. No matter how true, no matter how straight, no matter how blank, he's an enemy of that idea. He hates the obvious.
Dante24 says, you got owned. It was embarrassing.
You did?
I don't know. I think he says he hates Suedo. intellectualism, and you're pathetic.
All pseudo-intellectuals.
Pseudo.
All intellectuals are pseudo-intellectuals.
I'm a pseudophile.
Pseudophile.
It's a redundancy. Anyway, he did good. You all did good. But he's a bad faith actor. He's there to lose a lot of people. He's not there to clean the waters. He's not there to make clean designations. He's there to muddy them and re-steer it. And that's why I accuse him of being a glowy, even though it's ironic. I don't know if he's a glowy, but it would be perfect if he was.
I don't know if he's a glowy. I think he's working for somebody, though. Like the fact that him and Vito went to high school together, I imagine they had some sort of connection there that's in some sort of system, and they're using with them both coming up off of this Netflix thing. We know Netflix.
The Netflix thing.
Yeah, well, the MrGirl with Cuties,
It's true.
Vito with the Dave Chappelle. Like these are I think
totally different things.
Everybody jokes about there's conspiracy theories for crisis actors in the government, right? And they're crisis actors. Well, what's keeping corporations from hiring crisis actors to drum up an opposing viewpoint to get people talking, right?
Yeah, especially sensationalism 101. It's a great way to get eyes on
I'm saying MrGirl and Vito are Blackwater hired conspiracy actors for Netflix. That's what I'm saying.
You're taking a step further.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But with MrGirl, if you're really, and you seem to be very passionate about this, at least for the play, so I'll explain to you how you are going to get pedophilia naturalized like you really want to do. First, it's going to have a facelift. You have to change the face of pedophilia. A great PSA of some sort with a pretty woman who happens to be minor attracted would be great. That would be very key. And then maybe a really well done montage of all the colors of the rainbow on people's faces and showing them one at a time, all saying that, okay, we're not looking for a means to express our sexuality. We're looking for understanding. You have to understand that not only are we in a world where we were cursed with an attraction to something that we could never, ever truly, honestly expect to, facilitate, but you want to kill us for it. And that's not right. It starts with sympathy. Sympathy is the key. Then it leads to empathy. Empathy is the start of identification, which was our first argument about what empathy is. Then it leads to a accepting, a normalization. That becomes the next key. And it's very easy. The groundwork is already set. We already have models in the forms of other sexual orientations. It's just a very simple, intuitive leap. You can get people with a fancy narrative and maybe fasten it to some digestible part of reality. Like we could say, oh, there's a gene that we found in 65% of pedophiles, so it means, okay, it's a heritable function. And then you can do that, and then you got yourself a story. Also, make sure you pit it against the only people that are saying nay are those that you accuse of being performative, or put it with the least cool people on earth, like Bible beaters or something like that. And then you make the new cool model, people that actually understand that there's some nuance in this situation, and then you have it. And then it'll be natural overnight. It's very easy. It's a 3-step plan. You're welcome. Take that, Vito.
It'll happen.
Yeah. Oh, it'll happen. We're very close. We're very close.
I don't want to apologize to everybody who thought that I wasn't up to snuff with the interview. I was relying on Joe being my tag team partner through the interview.
Are you saying I abandoned you?
Well, yeah, you kind of left me to go.
You needed me as a security blanket.
Yeah. You left me to go 1-on-2 with Ben and MrGirl when they defended the pedophile side.
No, Ben
hold
was
on. Are you saying I defended it?
Ben was a moderator.
That's this whole thing is a joke.
Oh, okay. I bought it for a second.
I know.
Because you were upset. Ben wasn't. Ben was like, gosh. He's like, why do you do this to me? I'm like, I think we're doing
because
okay.
we were like 3 minutes in.
Yeah, I know.
And you were already working him before we went live.
Well, you have to. He's got to know what he's in for.
Because he was on his channel.
Otherwise, it's unfair.
He was live on his channel.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
If Joe wasn't open and honest, and by the way, I do want to say, we didn't even get to talk about the fact that MrGirl was wearing a Chipotle shirt.
Well, you talked about that at first.
Yeah, but not live on our channel. That was like, if you guys don't notice this, he had a Chipotle shirt on. I think he was.
Billy says a lot of bullshit, and he says he was just joking all the time.
Yeah, the joke that you were defending pedophilia.
Yeah. What the fuck?
You think I'm honest about you
I
defending
don't know what
it?
you're saying, man.
I think that's the joke.
Okay.
The joke that I needed Joe to support me in the 2-on-1 between you and Mr. Girl. Do you not see the humor in that?
No, I don't.
So now it's not just Mr. Girl denying my funny jokes. It's Ben, too. But yeah, Mr. Girl had a damn Chipotle shirt on. I think he was grooming me. He knew if he wore a Chipotle shirt, it would signal that him and I had camaraderie. And now, I don't know any other way to say this.
He also dropped
I want to watch Cuties.
He also dropped a famous DP meme.
Did he?
Did you notice
I
that?
don't think he was aware of it.
Yeah,
What
you
was
caught
it?
it though.
No, I didn't. What was it?
Oh, he said, "I'm also an artist."
Yes, he did do that, and I did think of that for a second. Yeah.
I didn't put the two and two together until someone commented in the chat about it.
And pretending you don't know somebody is an old power play. I don't know if you ever went to school with kids like this, but sometimes they'd be like, "Oh, yeah, I remember you. We go to school together," and they're like, "Oh, I don't remember you." Have you ever seen somebody do that? They fake not remember you. He did that with DP before we went on. That's how I knew this guy was an enemy. He pretended he didn't know what DP was.
Huh. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, Ben, actually, you reached out to him originally?
Yeah.
I didn't know about you sending an article to him and everything, and that's what got him the interview with that guy?
Yeah.
That was performative. You know how like people are grossed out by pedophiles in a performative way? He was performatively not knowing who DP was, because everybody knows who DP is.
That's not true.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, shit.
Never mind. I'm wrong.
Where did he get that Chipotle tracksuit? Do you have to work at Chipotle to get that?
Dude, why do you keep talking about fucking Chipotle?
Well, I could be talking about pedophilia again. We've already managed to know this episode is free reign on the P word.
Yeah.
This was. Do you think
get it out of your system now.
Do you think it's going to be monetized, Ben?
Probably.
I have no idea.
It's YouTube. It probably will be.
Yeah, YouTube's very inaccurate with that kind of shit.
I love YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't know if that matters, but I do. I think it's a great thing that
There's a lot of CIA people in chat right now. Like X8 says, I made a video critical of Mr. Girl, and I completely disagree with his logic. But that was so embarrassing by Joe, and he just gave Mr. Girl a W by faking alpha energy. So disoriented. This is obviously
that's controlled opposition.
Obviously, the CIA working with Mr. Girl.
Yeah.
You guys glow in the dark.
Yeah.
You all glow in the dark. We see you.
Yep.
I'm going to start calling anybody that talks bad about me a glowy.
Yeah.
You glow in the dark, loser.
Yeah. It's what all narcissists do. It's never
so the
me. It's
article
always the
that
other
I
person.
sent him was about people like QAnon and shit like that saying crazy shit, but it being under the guise of we just want to protect kids from child molesters.
I do like
so
how-
then when Trump was getting questioned about QAnon, the only thing he could say that he knew about them was like, oh, they're very against pedophilia, you know.
Right.
So it's that sort of performative outrage where you act, or you're just virtue signaling that you're so against it, maybe hiding the fact that you might be one.
Yeah, in a way, I think it's a lot of times an avenue for people to take out their rage. Like, if you can only kill pedophiles, well then, guess what? You're a pedophile. You know, 'cause they have that rage built up in them, so they're going to find pedophiles wherever they can, you know.
I'm against capital punishment across the board, no matter what.
I'm not.
Well, I mean, for like literally any crime, I'm against it.
I'm not, but I get it. I get that what he's talking about is even partially true. What happened with the QAnon people was it was a movement entirely dedicated to the sensibilities of evangelical born-again Christians. And the evangelical Christians...
And conspiracy theorists.
Well, they're
like
the same
pizza-
thing.
Not
The ultimate conspiracy
and beyond
theorists.
that,
Structurally, they're identical.
Them and more. Like, anyone who's susceptible to conspiracy theories.
Structurally, a evangelical Christian has the idea that everything is kind of a louche factory or a trick with the devil behind all of it. And if you just wait and see, Jesus is going to come back one day. QAnon was all about how everything is one big trick set up by pedophiles, secret pedophiles who may or may not be human. And if you just wait long enough, Daddy Trump is going to out this. So it was perfectly...
They were also cannibals, too. They were like cannibalistic pedophile...
Right.
It's the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah, exactly. But it has to be to meet the sensibilities of an evangelical Christian who already has a very different grasp on reality than the rest of it. Love you too,
Joe
Chris
did
Xavier.
the right thing. We love you, Joe.
Love you too. I'm just glad we all had fun.
Well, yeah, like I was fine with you saying whatever, but we had to get something out of it first.
Yeah, that's why it was.
There can't be a 3.5 minute episode.
Mm-hmm. It was necessary for me to leave.
There could have been. I was hoping by the end of this to have a collaboration with MrGirl on my next rap album.
I knew you were.
I wanted to have.
You wanted to talk about the rap.
I want to have a song that was titled "I'm Definitely Not a Pedophile, I Promise," no matter what I think, featuring MrGirl. I think that would be a good song title. 1 million views.
I think you're partially being honest there.
Yeah, I suck rich dick.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I'm probably one of the poorest dick suckers there is. I suck poor dick on a regular.
I don't know.
I think so. Yeah.
Who? Or I don't know who they are because they're poor.
Yeah.
Do you go out and find homeless people and you're just like, man, you're so cool. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care that you stole all that shit in your shopping cart you're pushing down the
I'm
street.
like, hey, Papa, you want help pushing that cart? And he's like, hell yeah. And I'm like, here's $20. Buy some crack. I like how not only did QAnon see that the Jesus coming back, resurrection of Jesus Christ, they thought there was going to be a resurrection of JFK Jr.
And JFK,
They
too.
were all in on the resurrection.
JFK Jr.'s alive.
Shit.
No, he's not. He died in a plane crash.
1989.
Oh, I'm sorry. RFK Jr.
Yeah.
JFK Jr., 1999, he died in a plane crash. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Billy is a glowy. I do glow
I
in the
don't
dark.
know if I buy all this glowy shit. Like,
Oh,
Billy,
yeah.
Like, anything that happens, Billy's like, it's the CIA. I'm like, dude, everybody's in the CIA. Like, according to Billy, like, literally everybody.
But that's how intelligence
There
works.
can't even be a CIA because everyone else is in the CIA. And,
Right.
like, we're all just CIA.
The numbers in the CIA are probably, as far as informants and connections go, it's probably 1 in 10 of the American population.
Wow.
And I say that.
Where do you get that?
I don't
I
know.
pulled it out of my ass.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
If you call me out, but in a funny way, I can't argue against it. But I can joke all I want. No, I will not say I haven't watched child porn. Exactly, Agent Buttfuck.
Yeah.
I'm not playing his game, and he wasn't playing ours either. So it was good that he left. It was a happy divorce. Mutual.
Jim says, was a really bad first impression of DP. Joe ruined it.
You're still here, Jim.
Well, Jim, I'll tell
He's
you
been
what.
typing in both chats forever.
I'll tell you what, Jim. Whatever you want us to be, I will change my entire demeanor and outlook on life to fit your perspective. I'll do it because I assume you're poor. And I just want to prove that I suck poor dick, too. Anything for a fan.
I'm assuming you're poor.
I'm assuming you're poor. If you're rich, then never mind.
That was a great guess, though, Ben. Well done on getting that one.
Are you being sarcastic?
No, it was great because he's at least different.
Right.
You need different.
Yeah.
You know, and that's good. He's definitely a glowy. Billy's right. If he's wrong about all the other ones, he's right about this one. No.
I'm rarely ever wrong.
And then we had another thing where Ben, you knew his channel very well, so you were able to guide him through the discussion. And then Billy, you had the rap thing with him. There was a chunk I wasn't watching. I was petting dogs.
I wasn't familiar with all of his content. I just saw him argue. Well, I saw him talk to Destiny a bunch of times.
Okay.
And then I saw him talk to Vosh. And then I saw him talking to Augie RFC, and they were talking about statistics. And I do agree with those statistics that they were mentioning.
What was that?
That the majority of child molestation cases aren't necessarily caused by pedophilia. They're caused by access and addiction and other varying factors.
You know what's interesting about it, too, is if we're relying on self-reporting, the person would have to say, yes, I am a pedophile. I think even somebody who would really not want to admit that. It's weird that, 60%.
I don't know if it's self-reporting. I think it's on diagnosis.
Well, clinical trial, we have a very arbitrary criteria for what constitutes a pedophile. Ideation for 6 months. is the arbitrary. What if you're at 3 months or 5 months? What if it was a phase you went through?
Yeah, I'm just going by the consensus when it comes to mental
but
health.
But even with that number, I did the math. I did the Mad Genius Master Math.
Vito's back,
and
he says,
"What's up? What's up, Vito?
Vito,
MrGirl is the goat. Vito, you want to come on the show right now? You go pop up.
Vito can come on too.
You come on too, Vito, because we're gonna
Vito.
start calling everybody out. You for obviously being too fat to wear that hat.
He has
and Chloe working for Netflix.
I'm gonna link him on Twitter.
But here's the point though. I did the madman math, and I pointed out that if 60% of people who assault children are not pedophiles, okay, and 40% are, only 1.5% of the population is pedophiles. So they're acting on like a 30 times more powerful spread when 99% of the people are far less likely to commit. Like that's what we're looking at here.
You mean offend?
Offend, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like even if it is 40 to 60, like that number is not a boon. It's 1.5% of these people committing 40% of the sex crimes against children.
A lot of people have, a lot of people have violent urges that they don't act on, right?
Yeah.
So
I was hoping to get Joe's commentary on that, but he's reading a Bible quote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. Just over here doing math.
Family's texting me. What a terrible
Just
time
doing
to
the
take
math.
a text. What were you saying?
I was saying I did the big brain monster math.
Yeah.
What is Vito's name on Twitter this week? Because he gets banned from Twitter. Like I'm having trouble finding him.
Shit.
Let me. What's his?
Yeah,
I'm sorry about that.
I
Bill.
did the big brain monster math, and even if it is 60% of all sexual assaults are done by non-pedophiles against children, even if it's 60%,
it doesn't make it any better.
No. It's 1.5% of the population is pedophiles, so they're committing the crime at over 30 times more than the other 99% of the population, 98% of the population. So they even at 40 to 60, it's not a non. The 60% is not a good number to compare to the only 40% are.
Right.
It's like they're committing at a crazy level.
Where is it?
Yeah, it was a dubious claim to begin with, but you're right.
He just look in the chat. Is there a chat he sent? A DM?
Lies, damned lies.
DPDM?
Here he is.
There you go.
Hold on, I'm gonna link him.
There you go.
Yeah, pedophiles seem to be overrepresented in molesting children.
By 30 to 40 times.
By orders of magnitude.
By orders of magnitude.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, like it's probably the single greatest cause because the rest of it is taken up by various causes.
Right.
Yes.
Including not wanting to admit you're a pedophile.
Smokenstein says Billy making excuses?
Do you think it should be made easier to self-report?
With a name like Smokenstein, you're either high.
Like
that's one of the big issues. Yeah.
Yeah, because like
it actually does further. This is where they have a point, and this is their biggest point, I think, when they talk about the performative rage, even if it's real rage. The fact that if somebody claims it makes us want to pounce and kill them doesn't help because it doesn't help us understand it. We can't fight it. We cannot fight it if we don't understand it.
And that's why putting their address on a list when a lot of people say they want to kill them makes them maybe a little more afraid to self-report pre-offense, right?
Yes. It can be more menacing in the shadows.
Here comes Vito. He's here right now. Hi, Vito.
Hi.
Hi, I'm going to put you on screen.
Can people see me?
They will. They will in just
and they
a second.
shouldn't. I've seen you, Vito. It's all right. We'll keep it this way.
Don't worry. I sent my 14-year-old sex slave in the other room. She's busy making me a sandwich.
No. Would you eat a sandwich made by a 14-year-old? I don't think they know proper sandwich protocol.
It's a good point. Kids probably can't make a good sandwich.
I say
buds are all fucked.
Say what you want about attraction, but if I'm getting a sandwich, I want it to be from like a fully formed adult who knows what the hell they're doing with the mayonnaise to mustard ratio.
Well, that's always been my concern with pedophiles is I don't even want to date a 20-year-old. They're so boring and awful. I can't imagine trying to date a 14-year-old talking about Roblox.
Are you knocking them down?
Whatever. Knocking who down? Ladies?
All the ladies. Are you knocking them down?
Not necessarily. No.
Okay.
I'm talking to some, but occasionally you end up talking to a girl who's in like her early 20s. And you're like, oh God, what are we gonna talk about?
I'm looking at all your pedo toys on the wall behind you.
Those are adult collectibles, my friend.
Well, I mean, yeah, but they represent what, lolicon? Like, oh, how old's Asuka from Evangelion? How old's Asuka?
Well,
she's 14, right?
If Sailor Moon is lolicon, then that means the bare naked ladies are right there lollying it up with me. So I got no problem with that. The boom Sailor Moon babes that make me feel the wrong thing, as they say. What are you gonna do? We grew up with cartoons and they made all the chicks hot redheads. We were fucked from the beginning. You ever see April O'Neil? How old's she supposed to be?
Yeah,
redheads. I guess she was supposed to be an adult.
Yeah, she was a news reporter.
What's the gimmick with redheads, Joe? They're
agents of Satan.
Agents of Satan.
No, there's a lot of occult symbolism with the Scarlet Woman in Crowley's Thelema is a redhead. The Whore of Babylon was thought to be a redhead. And there's a lot of Hollywood films where the Intelligent Scriptwriters Coven, you may know about this, Vito. It's kind of a skull and bones amongst good screenwriters. And they talk about how redheads are used as totems to show their magical properties of their film, magic with a K. So, yeah, there's a lot to the redheadedness.
So there's an occult symbolism there, you're saying?
Yeah, that's what they say.
Well, red hair has always been associated with fire. Fire, of course, is seen as demonic, hellfire, whatever else. So, yeah, there could be something there.
The redheads also have a higher pain tolerance, and they're more likely to what's not euthanasia, Anesthesia. Anesthesia.
Yeah,
the anesthesia.
Anastasia was a redhead.
The anesthesia doesn't work on redheads as well as it works on the rest of the population.
Yeah. No, you can slap them around. I've noticed. It's great.
So, Vito, do you think that MrGirl was...
Oh, go ahead.
Do you think he was mistreated on here?
Unfortunately, I wasn't. I just knew he was coming on. I didn't watch, and then I saw MrGirl had to abscond from the Drunken Peasants, and I went, well, what a shame. But he is a very, I don't know the best way to say it. I don't want to say sensitive, but I guess he doesn't enjoy tomfoolery sometimes, because he came on my podcast, Biggest Problem in the Universe, and afterwards he was very upset with me. He thought I went too far in some places.
What did you do? Like, how long did you have him for? Did you get him for an hour, a couple minutes? We almost lost him 3 minutes in.
I think I had him for an hour and a half, but then I, made some jokes. He was like, "You owe me money," and then somebody's saying something.
That was just Stephen Hawking.
Money.
Yeah, he's like, "You owe me some money," and then I'm like, "Oh, of course, the Jew goes looking for a shock," and he didn't like that, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm joking."
How much money did you owe him?
I think I owed him $50, and apparently it's been for 4 years. He's been he's never brought it up.
Where are you guys at where you owe him money? Like, were you going family style on one of these lollies? Like, what's...
Well, no, we always pay up, but that's a crowdfunded thing. You got to pay in advance. I made a stupid commercial for a Kickstarter, and I paid a bunch of people $50 to show up and pretend to enjoy playing my card game. And I guess I never paid him $50.
What was the card game?
I still haven't paid him $50. You can check out enemyweapon.com. It's like Cards Against Humanity, but not terrible. It's my version of it.
So
it's really good.
There was
send
a
you a copy
theory.
If you give me your address.
There was a theory about MrGirl presented by Joe, and maybe we can get.
Well,
your
did you guys say he was a secret kid toucher or something? What was the theory?
We asked that, but we didn't say secret. What we asked was if because you guys went to high school together, right?
Yeah. Well, I want to say he was a senior when I was a freshman.
Yeah, that's
so it was
what
one of
I
these
heard him
things
say.
where, we didn't know each other until many years later. It was more like he had a notoriety in the high school, and it was always like, oh, that Max Carson kid? He's fucking crazy. And then years later, I was like, hey, you're that kid from my high school who's fucking crazy. Oh, you're actually kind of cool and interesting. Let's be friends. If that makes sense.
So, and then you both had like a big rise to notoriety. You had a big boost in notoriety because of your commentaries on Netflix properties.
Well, I don't know. Well, I guess only on Twitter though, and not in That's the thing is, people think Twitter drama affects real life. I defended the existence of the movie Cuties on Twitter because I was like, I don't see how this is more upsetting than the shit I see on TikTok every day. And like, in a way that, yeah, it is upsetting, but it's also like happening in real life. So why do I have to pretend to be more upset because it's in a movie? Especially when the movie is going, look at how upsetting this is. So
do you feel the point of the movie was kind of like an expose on the sexualization of children?
I don't even think that's an opinion. Like, that's not even a thing. Like, do you think that's what, like, that is what it is. Like, 100%.
I never actually saw it.
There's no other correct way to interpret the movie. The movie is very clearly, hey, young girls are being sexualized. This is, like, bizarre and crazy. And,
did you find it
just
sexy?
basically, I haven't seen it.
See, I thought that this.
To watch it.
Are you familiar with superhero movies?
Yeah, I am familiar with superhero movies. You thought it was a superhero movie, right?
Well, no, that's the thing. That's the thing. We had a big rush of superhero movies, and it was almost like the society was pushing this narrative of a superhero.
Billy's talking. Billy's talking. Why are you doing that?
What's up?
Are you looking up?
You're reading.
Are you looking up porn?
I got a guy is coming in 10 minutes to buy a dog food container out of my garage. So,
but you are listening, right?
I am listening.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. I assumed you were listening.
He said I'm on my way, and I'm like, okay, I'll just text when you're here.
He's got a weapon.
They had this huge rise of superhero films, and it seemed like it was almost a public narrative to push the superhero film. And now people are so tired of this push, they're referring to superhero films as cape shit. I thought Cuties was the beginning of a new genre push, rape shit.
That would have been great. I want more. I already said I hope Hollywood will let me write a prequel to that movie, because I think it's a lot to explore in their younger years, you know?
But our question, our assumption was that maybe you and MrGirl were like, if not CIA, you were hired by Netflix to create a controlled opposition. Like you guys are in the pocket of somebody.
To make the movie sound better or something?
Well,
to drum up sensationalism. The best way to get somebody to watch a movie is say, "Do not watch this movie."
I'm going to tell you right now, the sensationalism existed long before me or MrGirl hit the scene. That movie, they sensationalized it hour one, and people were just making shit up. Because, again, the movie is very clearly saying, holy shit, our kids are growing up in an internet age where, like, literal predators can contact them and have them make twerking videos, and nobody knows about it, and their parents have no idea what's going on.
Let's take a look.
We have no idea how to talk to these kids.
Yeah.
No. Let's not take
That's what they're saying. That's what happened. Let's take a look.
But people, when it first dropped, people were saying, oh, there's this new Netflix movie, and it's about how you should abandon your religion and shake your ass because that is true female empowerment. And what I was saying was, you guys, that's not what the movie's about. The movie's the exact opposite of that. The movie is saying, look at these girls being tricked into thinking this is empowering when in reality they are, setting themselves back and trapped in a web of this is a complicated topic, and it requires way more words than I'm ready for right now. I'm a little tired. But basically, that we have young girls who, let's be clear, girls hit puberty the same way guys do, and they start having weird, fucked up urges of like, I kind of want to have sex. I kind of want to get pregnant. I don't know why. It's an instinctual, animalistic thing. And back in the day, it used to just be like, well, you're trapped in your small town, so there's not too much damage you can do to yourself. Now it's, you have all those urges, and oh, look, we have TikTok, we have Discord, we have private chats. There are so many exciting electronic ways for people to exploit these young girls. And we're still acting like
a
it's
Netflix movie.
Well, no, because I don't think it is. That's where it gets complicated.
Exactly.
Right? People go, well, if you make a movie about it, it's just as bad. I don't think it is, because the movie is very clearly
it's
going.
It's not the movie that's
wrong.
bad. It's showing the raw footage of the girls twerking. That means and making the major crux about the big deal.
I've seen the footage, and I'm like, it's not that offensive to me.
Well, because you might not be a pedophile based on how you're talking. It's a big deal to those of us who are pedophiles.
Right, because you get turned on. Well, I look at it, I'm like, this is just disgusting. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's gross.
Right.
You see these kids shaking their ass like a music video.
That's why it's a big deal. Does the exposure help the situation at all? Does it diminish any way the fact that these girls are getting sexualized. I don't think so.
But I'm saying I'm way less worried about kids shaking their ass for a fictionalized movie than I am about guys actually reaching out and private messaging them or coercing them into it for the sheer purpose of beating off to it or sex trafficking them or whatever else.
Do you think that'll make the guys less apt to want to do that?
I think what will? The movie?
Movies like that are about the dangers.
I don't think a movie necessarily has to. A movie does not exist to change society. A movie exists to tell a story. And a black female director said, I grew up in a very oppressive religious household, and to try and escape it, I did wild sexual shit. And I learned that's just a different sort of prison. That's really what the movie is saying. It's saying, you think your religious upbringing is a prison? Well, shaking your ass for guys on the internet is just another type of prison that you as a young girl are going to get trapped into. And it doesn't give a solution. It doesn't say, well, how do I escape this prison? It's like, I don't know, but they're both exploitative and terrible. And being a young girl is complicated and sucks. And again, I base this on having read reviews of the movie and seen a couple scenes. I have not watched the whole movie because why would I watch a fucking foreign language French film about young women discovering themselves? That sounds boring as hell.
Well, MrGirl liked it quite a bit. Your buddy MrGirl, he liked it a lot and thought it was sexy, as a matter of fact.
But did you hear the part where he said it was exploitative and he didn't think they should use real child actors?
Yeah.
He wanted it to be like a cartoon or be a documentary or something.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, I think it goes too far using real kids. Which, that's I can't say one way or the other because I haven't seen the whole thing.
I think the exposure to the stimuli leads to more instances of the phenomenon in real life. I think we're going to see more movies about the dangers of pedophilia while showing young girls or young boys in sexual situations is going to expose a lot more people to the stimuli, and they'll find themselves more attracted. That's why MrGirl had that crisis. I think so.
I don't agree with that. I don't think a movie where like some girls shake their ass and the audience goes, oh my God, this is horrible. And then she learns like, hey, you're trapped in an oppressive religious household. And you end the movie, it's dark and depressing. And you're like, what a fucked up thing. I don't think that leads to people going, man, I just love jerking off to those kids. The only way you're going to get that is if you turn the movie off without paying attention to any of the theme. No, it doesn't depend.
No, MrGirl found it sexy. In spite of himself, in spite of the themes, he thought it was sexy. Your buddy, MrGirl, said so.
Well, yeah, he said the sexy parts are sexy.
Wow, there's the sexy parts in here? Divorced from context? Who knows? You didn't watch it, right? Do you remember? You didn't watch it. You're not interested. But your buddy, MrGirl, did watch it, despite what it's all about, the dangers of pedophilia. He thought it was sexy when they were doing the twerking scene.
Sure, but he didn't come away from it and say, and this means that pedophilia is good, and I want to do more of it, and I want to watch more of it. He came away from it going, wow, that was deeply disturbing, the way that you can take a young girl and effectively sexualize them.
You know what? I'm going to devote my life now to the pedophile cause, to muddy the waters a bit. That's what he said after. Cuties really sent him on a path.
No, I don't think. Yeah, I think he's done the exact opposite. I think he's an anti-pedophilia crusader. I think he is doing damage to pedophilia by saying, "Hey, this is a very real problem. We need to address it in a real way, other than just saying let's blow their heads off with a shotgun." Which, let's be clear, has not ended very much pedophilic activity in this country.
Yeah, it has. That's actually done more to end Nirvana than pedophilic activity in this country.
All these guys tell me they've been killing pedophiles with a shotgun. Every day I wake up, I read the newspaper. I don't see any pedophile found dead in an alleyway stories. So you guys clearly aren't doing nearly as much work as you think you are. And MrGirl is out here saying, look, well, maybe there are some more common sense ways to tackle this issue. For instance, therapy for people who have not offended yet, addressing it ahead of time, making sure age of consent laws are rock solid.
So that's, to me...
I don't know how you can come to MrGirl and say he's part of the problem. I think, if anything, he's part of the solution.
So the stuff you just mentioned, those are the sensible things. But as Joe pointed out, there's also the, like, everyone would look at 15-year-olds naked if they could. Like, his assumption of what other people would do is kind of...
Well, I've never heard him say that. What do you mean?
He
What
said
did he
it on
say
his show.
He said everyone would look at a
He
15-year-old naked.
he said if you could, the majority of people, if they could press a button on their phone, look at a naked 15-year-old girl, and not get in trouble for it, that the majority of people would, or a normal amount of people would.
Yeah.
Well, his thing is that he's looked at these studies that say that men are naturally you're naturally attracted to women who are what's the best way to put it? And I'm not talking about underage people. Let's say 18, 19-year-old fertile, right? You look at a younger woman, an 18 and 19-year-old, and instinctually you go, well, she's going to be more equipped to carry my child. My child's not going to be born with fucking Down syndrome or whatever the fuck.
The father can pass on Down syndrome too, though.
Yeah, well, it's if you have kids at a younger age or with a younger woman, you have less of a chance of autism and stuff like that.
So when I talked to Mr. Girl before he came on here, I was like, you know, the analogies you make are sometimes pretty bad. They make you look pretty bad because you use analogies like underage strip clubs and that kind of stuff.
That's a good analogy. What's wrong with that? Which part of the analogy? The analogy of if there was a robot strip club, would it be morally wrong? That's a good question.
No, well, no. When he was on Vosh's stream, he said if there were strip clubs from the ages of 21 going all the way down to like 14, which strip club do you think would be the most popular?
Yeah, what would be the most popular age?
Yeah,
of a
that's
robot?
what he said. And those kind of analogies, they make it seem like he personally, because he assumes everyone else would pick like 14 or 15 that. But I don't think he even said that. Did he say that? You're saying it makes it sound like he's going to pick 15. I don't think he picked 15. I think he was trying to say to Vosh, well, he
don't you
doesn't
think
say,
that people... Well, let me give you an example. If you could go to a robot strip club and it was either 20-year-olds or 30-year-olds, you going to pick 30-year-old robots or 20-year-old robots?
30. Easy.
If you're going to go for the older ladies. Well, some people would.
So the thing is that he doesn't...
On average, people find youth attractive.
He doesn't say, I would do that, but he assumes that the majority of people would.
If I could get a fuck robot, it would probably be Natalie Portman.
He doesn't specify...
Which Natalie Portman era, though?
Definitely not the Leon era. I'm thinking...
Can you guys keep arguing about this while I go and sell it?
Sure.
Yeah,
go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And while he's gone, Joe and I will talk about our experience watching Evangelion. Because he's wearing an Evangelion
Well,
hat.
we haven't finished it yet, so we won't talk about that yet.
Okay,
there are some interesting comments being made, though, in the Super Chat that I'd like to read.
Go ahead.
Now, I don't have my screen up, but Billy, if you have access to that.
So,
the one that was just sent seemed very interesting.
Doom, doom, doom. Advertiser Deadly says, Mr. Girl's out here making cogent points and hiding them within a sea of meta-irony and bad faith tactics. I don't sense malice from you, but dude, you're way off here saying he's part of the solution.
What was that, to Vito?
That was to Vito.
Because Vito said he thinks, if anything, Mr. Girl's part of the solution.
Yeah.
Were you going to comment on that? Or
no, that was a very interesting point.
Okay. But Cheesy Shez says, have we come to the conclusion Mr. Girl is a Poe? I think that's Edgar Allan Poe fan.
Poe is like, he's pretending to be, he's like a troll, basically, I think.
Is it POE, like part POC? Is it a person of ebophilia?
I don't think that's it.
That's the whole point behind meta-irony, the Sam Hydes of the worlds, the Andy Kaufmans before him.
Yeah.
And the like mind is that you won't know which is which, and if they're good at it, they'll confuse you as to which is which at what time. The thing is, when you're talking about this heady of a subject and you're doing it under the guise of being an empath, you end up taking on quite a load and quite a bit of baggage. And for somebody who's an empath, it's shocking that he takes the kind of opinions he does and says them so forwardly, especially when a lot of people were abused when they were young. And, you know, it's odd for somebody whose whole crux of his movement is that he's empathetic and he can see these things, yet he refers to everybody who has objections to what he says is forthright and normal and universal as being quote-unquote performative. What he just did is he just reframed anybody who now will say something negative about minor attracted persons' appetites as being de facto performative, that they couldn't possibly have that honest
shouldn't be
belief.
labeled as de facto performative, but some people do.
It will muddy the waters. That's actually how it ends up happening every single time. It's a thesis, antithesis, synthesis. It's as old as politics, practical politics. And
all right, well, I paid off that girl's mother, so hopefully she won't say anything. Anyway,
it didn't work for Michael Jackson.
Vito, have you ever looked at child porn?
I have never. I am sure that being on the internet on 4chan, I'm sure it's popped up, but not anything I've ever tried to find. You know.
Did you masturbate when it popped up?
No, I went right back to pictures of dead Ukrainian soldiers.
Oh no!
The only thing
God.
That's healthy.
Oh no!
How about Lolly?
Well, it depends. I mean,
no, go ahead.
The whole,
you can.
What do you call it? Well, anime. Again, Sailor Moon is 16. Is it against the law?
No, not at all.
Do you actually fap to Sailor Moon?
Oh yeah. I mean, not these days, but at one point.
I see.
When I first discovered hentai, I mean that was the rage at the time.
Yeah, I'm trying.
You ever
to
seen God, what was it? Something in the Sailor Moon and the Seven Balls?
No. I don't watch a lot of anime.
Terrible. Oh, give me 2 seconds. I gotta.
Like one of the big things I do recently is when there's an anime in the movie theater, I go watch it at the movie theater just because it's like an experience. Other than that, I've watched very little anime.
I've never seen an anime in a movie theater.
It's kind of fun. It's interesting to crowd watch too. See who's in there watching it with you. Black Swan, Natalie Portman for you. I think Natalie Portman from Closer. There's a scene where Natalie Portman is in like a club and she's wearing a wig. If I can get that Natalie Portman as a sex robot.
I wish The Wrestler and Black Swan would have been made together as it was originally planned. They were going to make it one movie.
Why would it be better to make it one movie?
As it stands, they're great.
I just would like to have. I'm not saying it would have been better. I'm just saying I wish I would have been able to see what that was like, because
they're companion pieces, right?
Right. They were going to make them a couple and show both of their stories side by side
in the same.
Yeah, I think I like the wrestler dynamic with the stripper dynamic. People who basically sell their bodies.
Black Swan. I suck because I loved The Wrestler. I don't know why I never went to see that movie.
Black Swan's
great.
Got a good Leslie scene between Mila Kunis and Natalie Portman.
And Mila looks very young.
Yeah,
since you're into that.
Oh my god,
it's not cartoon. Are you have allergies?
I've just been kind of sick.
Yeah,
but it's okay. I just had something stuck in my throat, but I got it out.
I've been dealing with.
I didn't want to cough and
sickness
hack
too.
on the street.
I cough and hack a little bit on here, so you'd be able to get away with it.
He farts a lot.
Were you friends with the guy who broke your sign at the Netflix rally? Were you friends with that?
Oh
guy?
yeah, we were not friends.
That's right.
I was thinking the other day that I'm gonna keep going hard on that guy because I know what he's doing. He's like, if I just don't say anything for a year, it'll all be fine. I'm like, nah, dude, I'm gonna ride you for the rest of your life. He's still writing for Netflix and shit. Fuck
he's
that
gonna
guy.
ruin Frasier.
Yeah, he literally is, and we're gonna ride him. We're gonna ride his ass. I hate to say it. Any interview he gives, you guys gotta watch the new Frasier. I'm gonna go. You're a comedian who attacks comedians in the streets. Like you have no. You should not be writing jokes. You're a bad man.
Do you think that you should be thought policing? This guy?
Thought policing?
Yeah.
He can make terrible shit. I'm just gonna tell him.
But you really call him a comedian? Like, do you really refer to him as a comedian?
He's a comedy writer. What should I call him?
Well,
he writes comedy.
It's like he's a comedian. Just calling him a comedian is a little weird. He looked like he was just like in a writer's room because he ticked all the boxes for inclusion or something.
Did you see the interview with him where he was basically saying, I'm not even mad at what Chappelle said. I just think there's other parts of this country where they're too dumb to understand it. So we should censor it or put a disclaimer on it. Because otherwise, basically, redneck dumb shits might use Chappelle's words to be transphobic.
I think that's fair because recently I tried to defend that point against somebody, and they said that you can't use clickbait because if you clickbait fools dumb people, and there's too many dumb people out there, so we have to cater to the dumb people. That was on this. That was Thursday with Asterios and Jeff Holiday, where they were saying that
who was saying you can't use clickbait? Both of them?
Well, yeah, they were saying that clickbait, using it with terms that would fool dumb people into thinking You remember the line, right, Joe? Do you want to dig me out of here? Because I don't remember it.
No, I don't. I wasn't on that episode, but I do remember that you were talking about defending basically somebody titling their headline something that had a lot of buzzwords, and then that person said that's the problem, and most people only read headlines, and people are too busy to read, or something like that.
Yeah.
So
people are too busy to read.
It's possible. I think it's possible to go too far. If you said like local man rapes 16 children, and then it turns out, I don't know, he raped their childhood by I don't know. There's ways to phrase things that are.
Turns out he had a
correct,
salad.
right?
Yeah. I was just joking. I think that it's. I think that you should be able to. I don't know, not have to cater to the dumbest people in the world. You should be able to, as Dave Chappelle, be able to make jokes that aren't going to be taken the same by some people because of the way some people think outside of the way the joke was written. And Dave Chappelle's been telling jokes that make people laugh for the wrong reasons his entire career.
It reminds me of that Robert Heinlein joke where he said, some people think we should make meat illegal because babies can't chew it.
We should have every comedy sketch, like every SNL sketch, like at the end of it, there should be like a little title card that says the reason to laugh at the sketch is this. If you were laughing because the actor was black and spoke in a funny way, well, that's racist.
Yeah, I think kind of like how they have at the end of a celebrity poker or whatever, they'll have a little. If you feel like you're a degenerate gambler, like maybe you should call this number. A little disclaimer after every joke. Like if you laughed at this because this guy was effeminately queer and not because he was taking over the role of an empowering woman, then you're laughing for the wrong reason.
I think with clickbait and with all of this, I mean, it's what can you do? Like I'll make videos that have kind of clickbaity headlines and titles, but how else do you compete? That's the problem, is that everybody's doing it. Even the mainstream media, it's all clickbait. So
yeah, it's how the damn thing
tough
works.
To tell somebody. Yeah, that's the problem. Is I'm like, look, man, I don't want to do it, but I gotta get people to click on these videos if I want to stay alive. So sometimes you got to be a little salacious. I try to be as honest as possible, but it's hard, man. It's hard to balance honesty with something somebody's gonna click on.
Vito, I either have to masturbate or pee, but I'll be back in about 5 minutes, okay?
All right.
He pees when he comes.
That's not a pee if it's 5 minutes.
But that's how you get sensationalized stuff, like everybody calling this bill the Don't Say Gay bill, or calling everybody agree. And you're like, man, I wish we could just like talk about stuff, but you really can't.
No.
Because it's always weird when speech meets capitalism, right? Because if nobody had to worry about money, we'd all be like, well, I don't need people to click on it. I mean, I guess I want attention. But, when these news networks are struggling to stay alive or sell newspapers, speech starts to get weird. It's very complicated.
Though they're trying to... Capitalism is the tarp placed over sensationalism. Sensationalism, why does that work in the first place? And have we facilitated it to be the thing that we would rather click on? Somebody said, tyranny is the deliberate removal of nuance. And that seems to be...
It's crazy how often I'll see like a news story. And I guess I wish we could just educate people, like, listen, you got to know what they're doing. And I think the problem is people do know what they're doing, but they don't care.
Especially if it feeds or flatters them.
Yes, exactly. That's the thing, is you are when you see the other side sensationalizing something, you go, I can't believe they would lie and deceive. And then you see your side stretching the truth, and you go, yeah, but we're on the right side of history, so it's fine.
Right.
And you're like, that's a dangerous game. The most dangerous game.
It is. It's the only game in town right now.
It is the only game in town. And I don't know. It's this thing. So as a YouTuber, like I started a new channel, Vito 2, where I'm doing like, news stories, just taking a news story, talking about it. And you do wonder, you're like, am I going too far if I say this? Am I stretching the truth? Is it okay to stretch the truth? It's a weird, and I think some people just don't care. I don't know why I have so much of a conscience about maybe making clickbait or not. I think some people are just like, who gives a fucking shit? I'll say whatever I want as long as somebody clicks on it. But it is a real struggle to be like, what is a fair way to both word this story, but that people will actually click on it.
I mean, that's how headlines have always been, though, right?
But there's an intensified art to it these days.
Even
we're
now,
really good.
we're
really good at it now.
I could have swore I remember seeing old newspapers from like 100 years ago.
Sure,
that had...
sensationalism is as old as people.
Yeah,
but the fine art of the different shades and the different ways they're meant to, kind of corral sheep in a pen, kind of with this, how narratives are formed. We're besought with computation. We're besought with computation, and it's a relatively simple notion of reason that we have as kind of the crux of everything we view. So now we have all these new taboos that make it very hard to make an argument or a point beyond very thin notions of like rights or something like that. We can all agree we like rights to some degree, and then it all of a sudden gets muddy because we don't have a universal language anymore. We're divided on even what a person is right now and where they end. Yeah.
And people do base their decisions on a headline and do not read the full I remember being very upset, and I'm not a Trump guy. I very much dislike Trump, but I remember when the headlines were coming out that said, Trump says Mexicans are rapists. And I was like, what? What did he say? And he read the quote, and he was like, some of these guys that Mexico is sending over, a select portion of some of the Mexicans that are coming over illegally are rapists. And I go, well, that's just factually correct. That's not the same as saying all Mexicans are rapists, which they are. But, I mean, Trump can't say that, obviously. I can say it because I speak truth to power. But, yeah, I remember seeing that and just being like, man, all bets are off. Like, you can just kind of just run with any. That was actually the moment I thought Trump would probably get elected president.
Isn't Dick Masterson Mexican?
Well, I mean, that's one of the qualities I tend to overlook of my co-host. Let's put it that way.
Vito never said Dick wasn't a rapist.
Oh,
yeah. Let's be clear. He could be a good rapist. I think instinctually though, that was one of Trump's big appeals, is that he was a victim of the media. People love a victim on both sides. Victimhood is the most important currency of our day. And I know Trump would tell you, or the right or whoever would say, oh, victimhood culture is terrible, where you go, yeah, but that was Trump's whole thing, is he goes, look, I'm a victim of the mainstream media. I'm a victim of the lying press. This is your chance to support an underdog.
Yep.
And I think that's a big part of why he got elected. He was an underdog.
He actually framed himself as the little guy against the big guy. You remember, he was an outsider who was going to drain the swamp, that he hadn't been vetted by any of the institutions, which a lot of people, even those who never fancied themselves before that as being right-wing, sympathize with that because they had lost all trust in the institutions of the mainstream
media. Some of them weren't even political.
Exactly.
None of them were involved. They didn't even know about politics.
Yeah, the true silent majority is the conspiracy theorists, and Trump totally rode that bandwagon.
There was also the racial component.
There was the racial component too, but the silent, that plays into it. But the silent majority really lit up when they started talking about when he started saying, "I'm going to do an official search into 9/11." And and I'm going to audit the Federal Reserve. These are all buzzwords for.
It's funny because it's so smart. You're like, why didn't everyone do that?
He said he'd throw Hillary in jail too during the debates. He's like, you're going to go to jail.
Yeah, it was a conspiracy ticket.
He started on the conspiracy ticket. He started on the birther movement. That's what made him even get into it.
Well, that's the funniest thing, is that you can just say stuff. Trump goes, well, I'm going to drain the swamp. And you're like, well, how are you? And then he got in there and they're like, you said you're going to drain the swamp. And then he ended up hiring all these entrenched, what do you call it? The guys who work on Capitol Hill collecting bribes for everybody else.
Oh, yeah. Establishment or legacy.
Lobbyists. Yeah. Or whatever. All these entrenched guys. He went, well, it's a really big swamp.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
They should have known right then they were being played.
If you're going to go into the swamp, you got to bring a couple of gators along with you.
Yep.
Yeah, as long as you got a good zinger ready to go.
Yep.
And the best thing about it was I swear, whoever started QAnon is on Trump's team. Because they basically wrote new religion for Trump. And they made Trump infallible. Every move he made could be explained in a conspiracy way.
Yeah.
It was impressive.
Yeah.
Now, QAnon was brilliant, being like, "Oh, every single thing he says and does is a secret. Is a secret code that only you understand with the power of your decoder ring." And all these people went, "Wow, I'm special.
Yeah.
I'm part of it."
Yeah.
The majority of the people that were on his side, anyways, were there.
It worked on 10-year-olds when they played Little Orphan Annie cartoons.
Right.
And they, you know,
I drank so much fucking Ovaltine.
Oh boy,
Yep.
I fucking love Ovaltine.
But it's Trump. Like his audience was a conspiracy audience. They were willing to buy into just about any narrative you wanted to tell them, as long as it was counter to.
as long as it flattered their sensibilities.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's the thing that drives me nuts about Trump supporters. They go, "Look, I can understand liking the guy, I guess, but I'll be like, do you like it when politicians lie to you?" And they go, "No, it's the worst thing in the world." And I go, "Do you think Trump lies?" And they're like, "Oh, that motherfucker lies all the time." And I'm like, "Well, is that good or bad?" And they're like, "Well, it's okay when he does it." I'm like, "No, it's not, though."
They convince themselves that he's religious. He was never known to be a religious person. All of a sudden, he gets
or
No,
a Republican.
you understand that? How are these people going, "Well, he supports good, upstanding Christian values"? I'm like, didn't that guy cheat on his wife with a porn star?
He paid her to keep her mouth shut.
Yeah, as Jesus would have done.
The relationship between Trump and a Trump supporter is a lot like the relationship between a pimp and his whore. The pimp says and does what he likes, treats you like shit, but you adore him and you need him to survive. Trumping ain't easy, but that's how it goes.
Somebody in the chat saying there's a huge number of supporters who would say Trump never lies. I swear every Trump supporter I've ever met, I've been like, "Do you think that man is a liar?" And they go, "Yes." But that's what they love about him. Is they're like, "But he's lying for the right reasons."
He's doing good lies.
He's doing the best stuff. Lies. I'm sure there are some people who think everything he says is correct, but
Stormy Daniels, not too long after Trump took office, randomly got arrested while she was stripping at a strip club
in Ohio.
Yeah,
in Ohio,
just randomly, these cops that just happened to be there, plain clothed, arrested her.
They knew she was going to be there. She was advertised to be there.
Yeah.
It wasn't that random, right? Like somebody came in knowing she was there, and they
arrested her.
Yeah, they got her.
So,
what did they arrest her on? Was she illegally stripping?
So technically, there's a law that strippers can't put hands on the patrons.
Customer.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. If you get too close to the weenus, you are prostituting yourself at that point. It's a fascinating time.
But it probably happens all the time at strip clubs.
Not probably.
Yeah. Well,
actual prostitution happens all the time at strip clubs.
Yeah, sure.
You know who never lies, though? MrGirl. This man is a saint.
MrGirl?
You think so? Did you wait for Joe to leave before you said that?
You guys are getting paid by the same people, right? Like, you're on the same payroll. It's like either Blackwater's division of Netflix or DARPA or somebody. Like, you guys are getting paid to say this shit.
I wish somebody was paying me to move the needle on any national conversation.
Come on, I know how much some of those...
I would be fucking great
I know how much some of those toys behind you cost. This is CIA-funded...
is the Israelis to promote Raid Shadow Legends, the greatest mobile game of all time. Guys, over 300 champions are available now. Can you believe it?
Vito, are you going to go to the damn Universal, or no, it's Disney, right? The damn Star Wars park in Florida? Are you going to go?
I have people, I have to... So there's a Star Wars hotel that I keep talking about, and everybody thinks it's hilarious to run the hotel. People keep telling me to do a fundraiser, and they will try to fund my trip to the Star Wars hotel. Because to be clear, the cheapest room for 2 nights is $6,000.
That's insane.
By the way, for 3 people, right? Or for 4 people? No, for 2 kids and 2 adults?
Oh yeah, for 4 people. So 2 kids, 2 adults is $6,000. I think maybe you can get it for like $5,500. No, wait, I don't know how it works.
Vito,
it's like $6,000 is basically the cheapest.
If I can get my audience to raise $3K and your audience to raise $3K, do you want to go? You want to go back to back in bed together?
You want to go? Well, they have. Luckily, they have more than one bed in the room.
No, fuck that. I want a king. I want a California king.
Oh, no.
Or a Corellian king. Give me a Corellian king.
So it looks like Stormy Daniels sued after she got arrested and got $450K out of it. So
what? Oh shit! I just saw that she lost her didn't she just lose her lawsuit against Trump like yesterday, or is that something?
Maybe
else?
so. Yeah, this I guess this was settled in 2019.
450K. Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, six years ago, Stormy Daniels must pay $300,000 to Donald Trump after losing the appeal on her defamation case.
Oh wow.
So the 450, I guess 300 of it's going to the Donald.
Jesus. Man.
You won 300. I would. She says I will go to jail before I pay a penny. Uh-oh, Stormy. What are you thinking? They just give Donald his money. What do you care? What was I going to say? Wait, so what did Joe say to Mr. Girl that he ran off? Because you called him a predator?
No, he just asked him if he was a pedophile.
No, I didn't even ask
Not
that.
even in those words.
Not even. No, I just asked if he ever watched child pornography.
Oh yeah.
And that was at the end. You were saying some stuff to him at first that was getting him.
Oh, before I left? Yeah, before I left, I was just trying to get him to get out of his shtick coma, because he plays a role. You know this about him. He plays.
I don't think he plays. Here's the thing.
I know he does.
Well, what shtick? Where he's like really like calm and whatever, and like kind of detached.
That's a mode. The shtick is.
I think he has to be in that mode though. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a way to disarm.
It's very disarming.
Yeah.
Like when he's talking, he's going so slow. He's so calculated in his response. He'll say something that is like you want to respond to, but he's still talking. And by the time he gets to the end of his statement, he said 2 or 3 other things you want to fucking address too. And you're like, this son of a bitch. This son of a bitch.
Well, I mean, let's be clear. It's not like he's a professional public speaker.
We don't know that. He worked for a newsletter. He put out mixtapes.
He didn't work for a newsletter. He put out a newsletter.
He had a newsletter and mixtapes.
Newsletter.
Yeah, he worked for
a newsletter.
He worked for a damn CNBC.
I'd like to see that on LinkedIn.
Did you guys read the newsletter? Some of that stuff's pretty funny.
No, but he did go over something about how the female orgasm was a myth. And I think he might be right there.
He wrote that. Well, that was the reason he was known in high school. Was imagine you're in high school, and then there's like just a newsletter like on the lunch tables that say women don't have orgasms, and you're like, what the fuck? Who put this here?
He
wrote that in high school.
Yeah, did you see that shit? Like, did you ever get one of his newsletters when you were at high school with him?
I remember seeing them around. I remember going, this is fucking wild. I'm glad. And I was like a big free speech kid at the time. I still am, but like back then I was like, hell yeah, man, fucking anything that riles up the administration. Because we lived in a pussy liberal town. Me and him, we went to high school in Amherst, Massachusetts, home of Amherst College, UMass, all that shit. And it is the #1 ground zero for all this pussy liberal shit you see now. We were like 15 years ahead of the curve. Like all the kids were social justice warriors back in like 2000, whatever. So living in that environment and having a kid go, women don't have real emotions or orgasms, and it's all a myth. I was like, that's fucking hilarious. Thank you, weird kid, for doing this.
Were your parents military?
No.
Were his parents military?
I don't know. I know his father was a lawyer.
Father was a lawyer. How about your parents? It's a very affluent area.
Amherst? Why are you asking military?
Well, a lot of them are in that area. A lot of parents
It's
are...
Amaranth, ass and two tits?
Hold on. Like Amherst. It's not a military.
You're too far for that one.
There's a lot of military types there, isn't there?
All right, I'm missing something.
What do you mean?
Amherst.
It was Billy's joke.
What? Oh, what did
I've missed the joke.
What did your parents do for work?
What did my parents do for work?
Yeah.
My father owned several Domino's Pizza franchises, and my mother is a social worker.
Okay.
I used to work for Domino's back in the day. I was a delivery driver, and I would always get crazy big tips because I think that everybody got their pizza and was looking at me, and they'd see how fat I was, and they'd feel bad that they were getting a fat food, so they'd try and pay the piper by tipping me heavy.
Maybe they were like, man, I got to give him credit for driving all the way here and not eating some of my pizza. So here's a big tip for him.
Domino's, the ultimate is when you take the pizza out of the oven, you cut a thin strip down the middle, and then you push the other. You take that out for you. And you push the two halves of the pizza together, and it's almost like a pizza still.
That's slick. Did you really do that? Like I didn't care about the owner, so I would just call in a delivery that I knew wouldn't go anywhere, so that we could just have a crew pizza and eat it.
Didn't
I mean, my dad owned the place, so if I
Yeah.
wanted a pizza, I would make myself a pizza. I
Yeah.
just didn't really want it too often.
Yeah. Social work is really important yet very underpaid work.
Yeah, my mom did not make good money, and probably does not.
Didn't have to. Age
No.
of consent, do you think it should be lowered?
Where?
In the U.S., state to state, like to 15?
No.
I wonder because wasn't we were watching
Age of consent between adults and I'm okay with, what do you call it, the Romeo and Juliet laws. You know, I think if you're within 2-3 years of your girlfriend, I got no problem with that. You know. What's the worst thing that happens there? A 20-year-old has sex with a 17-year-old? I'm not really bothered about that.
How old were you when you lost your virginity?
I was 18.
18.
an adult. I'm glad you held up.
I didn't. It's not like I was saving myself. It was more, oh my God, I'm gonna get lucky with this chick I met at the Burger King. All right. I was eating rodeo cheeseburger, talking some big game. This fat chick walked by. She's like, "Hi." I'm like, "Hey, what's up, baby?" I made it happen.
You were in the wrong store. You were in Burger King. Your dad owns Domino's. That's childhood rebellion. That's a lot of rebellion.
Girls don't come into the Domino's. All the good girls are at the Burger King, as we know.
Once got busy in a Burger King bathroom.
That whole thing at Netflix where the guy said you had a weapon was kind of hilarious, though.
And that was probably the best piece of comedy that guy ever wrote.
It was disturbing.
Yeah, it was better than that. Was one of the best. What is crazy about those situations is people are always like, "You must have been really mad," and I'm like, "I was so happy, you guys. Like, you don't understand. It was the same thing when I went to like an Antifa protest and I was wearing like a stupid carnival burger uniform, like little American flags on it. I was selling popcorn like a day at the races, and Antifa ran up and they started pulling up the little American flags off my outfit and setting them on fire. Like, didn't you want to punch those kids in the face? And I'm like, I wanted to give them $100 each for getting me the greatest footage I could ever ask for.
Yeah, it's content.
Of Antifa kids burning my shit. Yeah. I mean, there's a part of you that's like, I hope I don't get my ass beat as he's telling people I have a weapon. So I was like a little worried.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I'm like, thank you for being a dumbass, you fucking dumbass. Like,
Was there a second where you thought about using it as a weapon and seeing how many people you could take out?
No, that would have ended. That would have ended very badly.
Every time I've ever had the position to go on attack during a live stream or some sort of video like that, I always I have a second where I'm like, is it worth it? Like, should I do it? And I was like, I talk myself out of it like every single time because I go through the end game, like what possibly could happen. And the majority of the times I think I'm gonna get the camera knocked out of my hand and nobody's gonna see me kick ass or get my ass kicked either way.
Right.
So I'm like, I
no,
can't
honestly,
really...
That's one of the biggest concerns is you're like, what if one of these nut jobs steals my camera? You know, they almost did one time. I was running around with my GoPro and a bunch of Antifa kids are grabbing at it. And they're like, you can't film here. You can't film here. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay. I'm sorry. My strategy at these protests is just act retarded, like a retarded person who has somehow stumbled into this by accident. And usually they'll leave you alone. I go, I'm sorry. I didn't know.
That's what MrGirl
like,
does through interviews.
Okay. He acts retarded. Oh yeah, we were talking about MrGirl's supposed act, or what are we calling it?
It's a shtick coma. That's what it is.
It's a shtick.
Yeah.
Well, I think
it's
that
a persona that he puts on.
I think he has to. I think he has to mentally prepare for these topics he's talking about. I mean, because everybody, let's be clear, is trying to get some sort of clip out of him, right?
I don't have a channel and I don't care. If he was honest, I would not have mistreated him. I would not have challenged him. He was not honest, and he refused to be.
I don't know if he's being dishonest. I think he's just being honest in a calculated way.
Exactly.
Knowing,
and it's not going to work here. Rhetoric does not work here. It's over. You got to be yourself. Like you're a better rhetorician than him. That's why we like you.
That's because I'm funny. He's not funny. He's not funny the way he is funny. He's not nearly as funny as he does some pretty good.
Do you think you're a better rapper than MrGirl?
I honestly, I have seen MrGirl's raps and I want to rap now. But I don't know if I don't think I'm as good as him.
Yeah,
honestly.
I think I'm a better rapper than MrGirl, but I don't. But I don't know it. That's what gets me.
He's not bad.
Yeah, he's not. He's
got some
shockingly
good
good for what it is.
I think you're better than him.
I hope I am.
I thought it would have been cool. I asked him if he could freestyle because I thought we could get a rap battle going, but he can't. He told me he can't.
Yeah,
so.
he definitely.
And he'll
seems,
probably never come on again. So
he's a poet. He's a poet.
Yeah, he definitely seems like a writer. Like that's where. Or writer, not a writer.
I thought a rap battle would have been way better than whatever happened. I mean, it was.
I don't have him pegged as a writer either.
You don't have him pegged as a writer?
He writes, but he's not a writer. He's an extrovert, big time. He plays an introvert, but he's an extrovert. I got him ENTP, totally.
Well, he's got his little.
What are you, Vito?
What am I? What? Oh, I don't know my INTP. I don't know.
I don't know mine either.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely what
Can you get that online, or do you have to go to an actual place to get that?
It's fake either way. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I assumed, which is why I never did it.
Yeah.
You should do it though.
I'm a TMJ5, of course.
Yeah, you should get it done. Everybody it's cool. The same way when a girl asks you what your sign is. It's cool because she's like, "What's your sign?" Like, I'm a Leo. She's like, "Oh, I'm a fucking cunt rising." Like, cool. Let's have sex. But it's a good talking point for that, right? Like, if you're into the reverse groom, where the girls come to you and they groom you into making them think they wanted it, you know, that's where you want to learn this stuff. You want to get it for the reverse groom.
Do you look up to MrGirl?
Yes.
You like what he says about minor attracted persons?
I don't think everything he said. I don't think everything he says I agree with. In fact, he says a lot of stuff that I think you're just categorically wrong on this subject in particular.
For example, do you have any?
Well, there's one part in his Cuties review where he tries to argue that the concept of cuteness is automatically related to sexiness. So that if you're telling a child they're cute, you're telling them that they will grow up to be sexy. And I go, listen, man, I think cats are cute, and there's no part of me that wants to fuck them. It's because they got big cartoon eyes and they're fun to play with. So he says some shit where I'm just like, I think you're really off base about that. But let's be clear, I don't hang out with people I think suck. And this is not even a I have a personal relationship with this guy. I find is why I look up to him. The content he makes is such high quality that it makes me ashamed of making shitty webcam videos that I put zero effort into. Like, have you seen some of his long form videos that are have crazy drone shots and special effects and shit?
I haven't seen any of that. This is all CIA funded?
Yeah. No, the CIA is definitely funding all of it. No, let me be clear. If MrGirl is poor, he's doing a very good job. Or if MrGirl is rich, he's doing a very good job of hiding it. Because
probably trying to groom me into sucking it. Then
I talk to this guy about money troubles all the time. We both got him.
Why does he want $50 from you?
Because he promised him $50.
I mean, if I owe him $50, I'll give him $50. I don't know why he waited until a live stream to bring it up. But
you think he's gaslighting you into $50?
No, he's like, check. Because I don't use Venmo or shit, and he's like, check your Venmo, and I find a Venmo request from 4 years ago, and I'm like, well, you could have brought this up at any point. I talk to this guy on the phone once a week on average, and he has never brought it up previously. But that being said, I do want to be clear. I think MrGirl makes incredibly impressive content on just a technical level. His camera work and his shots and his editing are all just incredible, and then just also just artistically creative. I find everything he does fascinating.
I've never seen that content. I've listened to a couple of his songs and watched a few of his streams, some interviews he did, some that he did on his channel, and then the one with Destiny and the one with Vosh. But I've never seen these technical what's the subject matter?
I'll give you some what do you call it? I mean, it's all different subjects. Is whatever interests him. A lot of his stuff gets taken down, or he has the full versions of them. Go to his website, maxcarson.com.
Okay.
One I really liked was he calls it a review of the Valve Index. You know the Valve Index, that super 3D headset you can get, VR headset or whatever. You know, VR headsets.
Yeah, we know VR headsets.
Yeah.
Our good friend is a VR televangelist. He's a guru.
Oh,
he taught us all about it. He showed us how to put the helmet on and leave Earth for a little while. It's cool.
Well, he has a video, and it's a review of the Valve Index, or no, the Valve Index Uncomfortably Honest review, because he got it, and then he started investigating these communities of like young men who are like, I just got a VR headset. What's like the most violent, fucked up thing I can do? And they're like, oh, you got to try this game. And they're like, is it weird if I get a boner while I'm like chopping the heads off of women? And they're like, no, dude, that's just your battle boner. And he's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, is VR like too intense? So it's just like him like pontificating on the nature of VR. And this was also after the Cuties shit happened. So he's just like taking out his rage by like chopping people's heads off and shooting these dummies in the face. And I'm like, man, this is fucking fascinating on so many levels. That one was really good. I don't know, man. I would just go to this is what drives me nuts about MrGirl, is everybody goes, that's that guy who made that Cuties review, right? And I go, man, that guy has made so many great videos, and it is fucking tragic that the only one anyone ever saw. Like, the only way to get attention after making like fantastic content for a period of years is just go, I want to fuck little kids. And then it's like, oh, now we'll pay attention to you. And like, well, cocksucker, can't you pay attention to me when I'm making good shit instead of taking a bunch of clips out of context from this one fucking review?
Yeah,
I think the shit he makes is fantastic. And his raps are also fantastic.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in seeing his stuff outside of what I have seen, because I've only seen the pedo stuff, the cutie stuff, the I'm a pedophile rap video. I'm a pedophile. I'll kill a pedophile or whatever.
Yeah.
Death to all pedophiles or whatever.
I kill them.
The pedophile dance. I think he's got one.
Yeah.
Does
his benefit, and it is kind of, a detriment as well, is that no topic to him is like off limits. So he makes content that is very weirdly uncomfortable. Like at one point, he goes to a family who's like, kid killed himself. He like found out that like a family he knew had like a kid, their kid killed themselves or something. And he just like tells the family, he's like, can I just interview you? I'm like, Jesus Christ, I couldn't fucking interview a family about their kid who killed himself. He's like, I wanted to know what that's like. And he just has like this straightforward fucking interview with these people. But yeah, it's like uncomfortable and hard to watch. But I'm like, wow, nobody's doing this. Like, nobody else has
that's commendable. My only problem is if I was a pedophile, I would act exactly like MrGirl does.
Like really intellectual about the whole thing.
Yeah. And I distance it, and I would use the meta irony of I'm a pedophile. I would say,
but I just don't think like. Let's say, I mean, what is the end goal? You think he's trying to have sex with a kid, or just for funsies he wants to make?
I think he wants to do what all of us creatives want to do. They want to see themselves reflected in the wider culture. That's why Kiersey fudged his numbers when he came up with the sexual continuum, for example. And that's why MrGirl says things like, we're all into 15-year-olds. No, we're not. No, we're not at all.
He wants to think that he's normal. He wants to think that he's the barometer for normal.
Yeah. Not necessarily. I think he wants to raise everybody up to his level. I think he wants everybody to...
He wants to normalize what he's feeling, and maybe beyond that, what
he wants to see himself reflected. If that makes it become normal, he'll pivot another way.
He's bringing upon a kid fucking revolution. In fact, he prides himself on not being normal to some degree.
I mean, the thing is, this guy is doing the research. He's bringing numbers to the table. I'd love people, if they disagree with the numbers or have reason to disagree with them, but he goes, here's a study that says X number of people have attraction to this age bracket. I think it's like 2% of the population is estimated to have pedophilic.
Yeah, less than 2. Yeah, and they do 40% of the crimes
don't even
against
come
children.
close to capturing the story, especially the ones that he brought forward. Even that guy he was talking to, Dr. K, said, we don't know what percentage of people are pedophiles. Well, if we don't have that as the baseline, we have no frame of reference. We have no frame of context. And what he is doing is not...
Well, then we're just guessing at that point.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, he's making as much of an educated guess as anyone else. I mean, anybody who tells you, it's not normal, or, I mean, I don't want to say that it's normal, and I don't even know what normal is for any of this. Don't fuck kids. There. Can I say that?
You can. I don't think you're allowed to say that anymore. That's prejudice.
You can say that. It's not that controversial either. You can say that.
It shouldn't be.
Give it 10 years.
But here's the thing but Max would say that as well. He would absolutely say don't fuck kids. And he said it, and we know it.
He'll say that out of this side of his mouth, and then 5 minutes later he'll say something that directly contradicts that out of this side of his mouth, and he does that.
What is contradicted it? The idea that, like, people might have an attraction towards kids?
No, that he does. That's what's contradicted. He says don't do it, and then he says it was sexy when the 11-year-old.
I'm not fully convinced that he is.
Yeah, especially with the labels that we know we misappropriate, which he hasn't done his job to clarify them either. When I asked him point blank, because I'm not going to judge him. I'm sorry if we're around people that will. I asked him point blank, have you ever watched child pornography? He said that I was being provocative by asking that. I think it matters because then I can understand what angle he's coming from and what end game he has, because the way it stands now, he's just being a provocateur.
That's just more along the lines of what I think he is.
Well, I think from what Vito is telling us, there's something more to him. He's a very thoughtful artist, as he told us.
I find him, yes. I don't think, let's put it this way. Do you think MrGirl is here for fame, for clout? Like, what do you see his end?
He's definitely not here for fame.
He wants to be, he doesn't want to be famous, and he doesn't want clout. He wants to be immortal. That's what he wants. And he wants,
one of the great thinkers of our time.
He wants to see his ideas instilled in the populace at large. That's what he wants.
Well, then he's a philosopher.
In a way,
every philosopher wants that in a way.
He would reject the term, but yeah.
Do you get aroused when you go to Burger King now?
Oh yeah, I mean when I order that rodeo cheese, no.
Oh
no. Well, what fast food arouses me?
When's the last time you had sex that initiated from a fast food place? Was it the Burger King, or is this like a common occurrence?
That's a great question. All my romantic encounters have all been from stupid fucking online shit now. No longer from fast food, sadly. It's chatting on the Tinder.
How were you at Tinder? Are you decent at Tinder? I fucking suck at Tinder. Every matchup I get is some me-looking bitch with purple hair, and her tag says Polly, and she's fucking she looks like she grunts during sex, no matter what position she's in.
I just settle for fucking 40-year-old Hispanic women. It's great. There's no strings attached. You know, you meet Consuela, you have a couple empanadas, and then you never see her again. It's perfect.
Do they cook for you?
I mean, they're cooking all the time. It's the only thing these women do. So, yes. That's all the Hispanic women do. Is they always got a pot, some rice or beans or something going.
Sean Brink says a bunch of virtue signaling because being against pedos is easy. Damn. Sean Brink, you're probably right.
That will be that'll be the frame needed to popularize it too. Because anytime anybody will say anything to the contrary, oh, you're being performative because it's sexy. That's why I should live with this boy.
So, like, my point is, it is sometimes performative, and
sometimes it's honest outrage if we can digest the idea.
Sometimes,
which is boring. Outrage is boring, especially in our post-irony culture. We hate seeing something played straight. It's annoying, and that's why MrGirl does everything he does out of both sides of his mouth, because we can't accept something played straight.
Well, pedophiles are just the easiest possible target. Yeah. I mean, if you want a target, you can just... If you have a lot of misplaced rage, or you want to grandstand and be like, I'm the, oh, I'm a savior of humanity, because if there was a pedophile here right now, I'd cut his fucking head off. It is a lot of performative kind of.
Yeah, I don't,
because you can't say that about very many groups these days. It used to be you could say it about like the enemy. You could say, oh, if there was a Nazi here, I'd cut his head off. But now there aren't any Nazis left to kill. And you can't say it about the Russians because everyone go, well, they're kind of still human a little bit. But pedophiles are really the last remaining dehumanized enemy left on Earth. We used to dehumanize everybody, Who else is as dehuman or even close to as dehumanized as the pedophile?
That's going to become the key to its acceptance in popular culture. I think it's in the cards.
I don't see it being accepted.
I think it'll have to be with certain caveats. Because a lot of people
would have to be so easily manipulated. And I'm not saying some people can't be, but I would think overall most people would not want to change the laws that are in place.
You can convince anyone of most anything.
Did they legalize it in Walmart, Germany?
Look at this is Weimar, Germany.
Yeah,
Weimar, Germany.
Walmart, Germany.
Yeah, Weimar,
Walmart,
Germany.
Germany.
It was common in Weimar, Germany.
Oh, damn.
Germany.
Yeah.
Walmart, Germany. You're pronouncing it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is, like, are we ever going to go back to the age of, Seinfeld's dating a 16-year-old and we just go, well, what can you do?
No,
Or is that, is
no,
that age
because a lot of the
past?
structure today is to make sure that there is sustainable development. And the problem with Jerry and a young girl is they can still have lots of kids. So it would have to be, the framing would have to be towards sustainable development. So I would think the crux of it would have to be man-boy that they try to. Yeah, like,
Right,
and it would
right.
start with a Mr. Girl. It would start with a Mr. Girl talking about, for example, how he had a crush on Michael Jackson growing up. It was very natural for him as a young boy to have a crush on an adult man. This is pedo 101, if you know anything about pedos.
Remember when Milo Yiannopoulos said something along those lines on this show?
I heard something about that.
It did not land very well.
I was the only
No,
one that
not
was
possible.
there when it happened. Like, only one present.
We are kind of running into a problem, though. I don't know if you've noticed this, where the kids are too horny. These teenagers coming up, these 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds.
I wouldn't know.
You just see them. Well, but I'm just saying, if you're on Twitter, you see these kids, and in their bio, it's like trans, NB.
You just
furry.
said the old pedo joke. The problem with pedophilia is there's too many sexy kids. is
There's
what you
too
just-
many sexy kids out here. No. We're running into a really weird situation where the kids are like trying to get fucked, and we're like, no, you're not. No, stop. Go be a fucking kid.
You see,
like, do you see
these
these kids
that this
running
is the
around on
problem?
Twitter and looking
It's
at
not the
porn?
kid. The kids
Yeah.
don't know what they want. Do you see?
I saw a great post recently. I keep talking about it just because it was so hilarious. Is that you
That's
know
not
how
a good
incest,
argument, Vito.
you know how
Yeah.
incest
Hold on.
porn?
The problem
really
is the adults are watching the cartoons and the kids are watching the adult content.
There's so much incest porn going around, and these kids are watching it. And somebody posted on Reddit, and they're like, "My brother's the dumbest motherfucker in the world because he's been watching all this incest porn. He thought it would work in real life, so he went to our mom with a big boner in his shorts, and he went, I don't know what this is. Can you help me out?" And then he got
Holy
grounded
shit.
for 3 months. And
Well-
you're like, shit, these kids have fucking cum in their brain.
But you think
What
he's
the fuck?
fucking dumb? My sister keeps getting stuck in the washing machine.
Every day she tumbles into that washing machine.
I keep having to pull her
What
out.
can you do?
That plays into a greater point that Mr. Girl was asking of a doctor, that Dr. K guy, and we asked you earlier in a roundabout way if the stimuli provokes further behavior, if life imitates art. You said no. But I think
the
there's,
stimuli of seeing cuties, if it makes you want to see more cuties.
or in this context, what your joke about the dumb kid who is watching
Yes, he's the incest porn.
and then tries to live it in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say that it's not impossible that somebody watches Cuties and they go, oh, I've never seen kids dancing in this way. Maybe I can go to one of these child pageants. I'm perfectly willing to say there's a minority of people who might feel that way.
Sure.
But I don't think that outweighs the right of the artist to make provocative art and, put out something that, again, is a reflection of real life. She didn't invent the ideas of, dancing sexy kids. It's just something that's going on in the real world. And I don't see why we can't depict that in fiction.
Now let's say that you and Mr. Girl both are working for the CIA or a close facsimile of said government organization.
I'm doing a very bad job.
Let's say that. Would this thing like Cuties, would this just be a way to get people who have repeat viewing for that moment in the film? Like if they keep going back to that, to put them on some sort of list? Is it possible that you guys are working for the good side in all of this?
I think, yeah. Well, I mean, that's one way to do it. I think there's probably more effective ways to find predators than checking how many of them watched that one
scene over and over again. I think this is a pretty good.
Why don't we just track them on YouTube? And there's plenty of fucking shit in there.
They probably do that too, huh? Like I think the whole reason they turned off the comment section on questionably young videos is because
because all pedos were in there.
Well, yeah, they were, but also because public figures that are on the side of good kept getting caught in the comments section.
Going, can you upload an extended cut of this twerking TikTok video? Yeah.
You know how many times RFK Jr. got caught in a child twerking video on YouTube commenting?
I never understood why he was watching so many of those things. But now I know.
LGBT cuties.
There's also something else that's getting overlooked. Not just the fact that if you play up, which what MrGirl is doing, if you play up the fact that all the people that are anti-pedophile are not just performative, they're mouth breathers, and you play that up and you make it clear that they have no idea what they're talking about, that it'll be another great way to naturalize it. It'd be genius, because then it becomes like a taste thing. A wine connoisseur knows the difference between good wine and not. And a real honest-to-goodness pedophile knows that he's a man of high class. And we could do that with any sexuality. When it comes down to it, it's not just a matter of taste, but there's also something to be said for something that is good because it's naughty, or sexy because it's naughty. And if it becomes the new taboo of something that's especially sexy because it's naughty, well, then you have another way of it to become naturalized. And that's why I think MrGirl is a part of the problem, because he is showing how naughty it is and how, matter-of-factly, how, for example, he was attracted to Michael Jackson as a kid, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's an honest thing. And I don't...
aren't a lot of kids have, once you hit puberty, I'm sure you find a lot of adults attractive. You never had a crush on an adult porn star as a teenage boy?
Sure I did, yeah.
I remember my first porn crush
I'm saying,
was
what's the
Gage,
issue
and she was
Well,
19.
you just let it with teenage. Who knows how old he was? Again, and this is the thing that he doesn't...
I started jerking off in 6th grade. I was looking at...
So were you adequate to have sex at 6th grade, you think, with an adult? Because you were attracted to them?
No. And that's not what MrGirl's at.
What if you really wanted it? What if you really wanted it?
I absolutely really wanted it. Of course I did. I would have had sex with fucking anything.
Would they be bad to oblige you?
Any warm... Yes.
You had a sex with a water buffalo at a Burger King. Like
sex
water buffalo.
That's the ultimate problem is, as much as we don't want to admit it, okay, a horny young boy wants to have sex, and they're willing to have sex with pretty much any adult that comes their way within reason, okay?
That's why they can't consent, right? Because they're not.
Right.
They don't have the mental faculty.
That's why the issue is teaching people, listen, it doesn't matter that they want to have sex with you. They might even have sex with you and have a great fucking time, but it doesn't matter because they don't understand what's going on. Even if 10 years down the line they go, I'm so glad I banged my fucking teacher, it doesn't matter because the person who consented to that act had no idea what it is they were truly agreeing to or understood the dynamic of it in any way. And that's the point, is that kids are horny and it sucks. And I wish we got to figure out a way to be like, first of all, kids who are horny, stay off the fucking internet. Don't talk to adults. Don't upload sexy videos of yourself for attention and adoration. I think that's the biggest problem we're running into, is that we don't have outlets for kids to do with this energy, the sexual energy.
Should we make adult robots for the kids?
Oh no.
Yes.
Is that where we're going?
Honestly, I have no problem with that. As long as the kids aren't fucking a real person or a real adult or whatever the fuck.
The whole robots thing.
Nobody's gonna make them a robot. No one's gonna market them a fucking robot. But
the whole robots thing,
to find
like,
a way to talk to kids about this somehow. I don't know.
The sex robots that they have now do not look real at all. Like, they look like mannequins that can move. So the whole conversation about sex robots, I don't even see the point of. Like he was saying it earlier too. I don't know. There's no.
Do you think it is morally? Do you think it is morally wrong to buy your kid a fleshlight? Do you think there's a moral issue there?
I would rather they just go buy it themselves.
Okay, so what if they didn't have the money and they said, "Dad, I want a fleshlight. It's $100."
Are they like a teenager or something?
How old are they?
Don't get a job, go mow lawns.
No, how old are
they? I don't know, 15. How's that? Isn't that the special number we've been obsessing over?
I think that would. I think that would help me not become a grandparent so quickly.
I was at Costco last night.
I don't know.
I was at Costco last night, and there was this like short dad, 5'8" probably, and he had a son there. The son was wearing cat ears and a leash, and had a muzzle for a COVID mask, and he was getting an argument with his father because his dad was like, "Do you want nuggets? Do you want nuggets?" Because I don't know what I want. And I'm like, you don't know what you want. And I do think there's a problem here. This kid is walking around with a leash and a muzzle and cat and puppy ears or whatever the fuck ears they were. Like I don't think that there is good answers to any of this shit. But the one thing we have to do is, as adults, not fuck the kids and not let the kids think that it's a good thing to fuck adults. You should tell the kids why it's a bad thing. You should say, because most adults that are willing to fuck you are fucking weirdos. You realize that, young kid? If an adult wants to fuck you, they're probably a stunted fucking weirdo. And that's what MrGirl says, oh, it's normal. No, it's not normal. It's stunted fucking weirdos that want to fuck kids. If you were, like, let's say, if Ryan Reynolds, who is a great god of a man actor, sweet, gentle lover, if he was like, I want to fuck a kid, I'd be like, you know what? Let's talk about that, because that's the type of guy that I think he's going to be a considerate lover no matter what age you are, right? Right? Okay.
Jesus Christ.
But he's not going to want to fuck a kid. He's not going to want to.
He's too good for it.
I mean, I'm saying people who want to bang kids are fucking awkward, weird, and should not be around kids.
I mean, it's what I say is I think a lot of these guys who want to have sex with kids are not thinking about the reality of, man, kids are the fucking worst. Like, I don't even think they actually want to have sex with a kid. I think they have an imagined idea of what a kid actually is. You ever try to talk to a kid and you're like, just shut the fuck up. Oh my God.
That's definitely like, the kids are really fucking cool and interesting when you have a dynamic with them that is that of like a mentor, or like some sort of like ability for you to help them learn and grow into an adult in a positive way. Kids are fucking awesome, but when you try and go to their level and use them to like peer to peer, like that's where the problem lies. Like unfortunately they're not your peers yet. They have a lot of living to do, and maybe you do too if you think that you're going to be able to eye to eye with a child.
Well, I trying to dissect what MrGirl's point would be is that. I would think you would say, based on statistics, people are attracted to that. I don't think people are attracted to children. I think they're attracted to the body of a child, I don't know why. Because, again, children are shrill and annoying. What is attractive about that in any way? If you're are you attracted to a child's mind?
This seems like performative disgust.
Yeah.
Me? From me?
Yeah.
Because most adults,
those kids are so.
Most adults are mentally children compared to me and children to them, right? Like I'm so much more intelligent than the average adult that it would be like me having them having a relationship with someone who had a child's like IQ. Like I'm just that much smarter than them.
It's like being attracted to a retarded person being attracted to a child.
Which I think they have their benefits. The retarded people usually have great dumpies. They got them tardy dumpies. I like a tardy dumpy here and there. Oh, a dwarf booty, better than a tardy dumpy. Dwarf booty, chef's kiss.
Anyway, I'll say this. I don't even think MrGirl wanted the pedophile discussion. It's what is that classic line where I didn't choose this life chose me. I think he went out there. Me and him.
Yeah, that's
because here's what happened was Cuties was coming out. Me and Dick Masterson, we both said the same thing where we're like, this is about how these dancing competitions, whatever else, are fucked up and kids aren't coming up right. And like clearly the movie is not promoting dancing kids. That's not the point of the movie. And everybody's shitting on us for it. So at one point it was going to be first me and MrGirl, we were going to review the movie together. And then all this shit just came down of everyone was so mad at the movie. And I said, you know what? Called shot. I want no part of this. Like, this is insane. The way people are talking about this movie, I'm just like, I can't do it. And MrGirl was really mad. He's like, you're not going to review the movie? He wasn't mad, but he was really disappointed. He's like, you fucking pussy. And I'm like, I just feel like it's going to end badly. And I want to say I was right. Then again, in a way, this whole thing kind of turned him into it turned him into the creature he is now.
Yeah.
He was forced to defend that take.
It made him.
It made him, and it ended up working out in a way, and it gave him a notoriety. So I wouldn't have worked for me. Nobody wants to hear me talk about pedophilia. Jesus Christ, look at me.
Oh,
him
man.
At least.
When you
gentleman.
Let's talk about the we thing that you said that everyone was attacking.
Oh yeah. Well, that was again. MrGirl gets me in so much fucking trouble is that MrGirl has been saying all this stuff, and I'm like, hey, it kind of seems like we're having some sensible conversations on this topic. So I repeated a MrGirl talking point, and I phrased it in a way where I'm going to argue that my grammar was fine. I still think you talked to any English professor, I said it correctly. But it basically looked like I was saying, we, the pedophile lobby, would like to announce. Everyone went, we? What do you mean we? And I'm like, no, not we. Like, they, not me. I'm not one of them. So now there's a screenshot where I look like a pedophile. I can't.
But it's always, if we took a screenshot of everything in your room, how far on the pedophile scale do you think having all those toys and stuff would put you?
Let me see what the most pedophile-y toy I would have.
I wonder how many times that word has been said.
Tonight, I would say more than when I say Chipotle other names.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the most lolicon toy you got back there?
I'm banning that word on the show forever.
All right, this is probably the most lolly.
Oh, no.
Look,
what's the story behind that one?
The story behind this is that there's these Mega Man figures that you get a random Mega Man robot.
And you can see up her skirt?
I got Mega Man's sister and not one of the robots. So
why are we looking up her skirt? Why'd you put it up her skirt for us?
Oh
my God!
It's the Japanese. It's their fault.
Oh my God! You just forced me to look up a freaking
robot. I
robot
wanted the
skirt.
Robot, and I got Mega Man's sister.
You got the robot that the MrGirl fans want. That's the robot you got.
She's literally, I believe, an 8-year-old robot in the canon of the Mega Man storyline. So.
Oh my God!
About that.
Vito, are we going to raise enough money to go back to back in a king size bed at the fucking Star Wars hotel?
I want to correct something.
Right.
I want to correct something.
Yeah,
Evan said, whining. Of course I'm whining. I want more MrGirl content, and these dumb fucks can't handle him. He's right about the dumb fuck. But let's get something straight. MrGirl could not handle us. He left. He threatened to leave many times. I actually left for about an hour so he could talk. I came back, and I was just having fun with him. He didn't like the way I was having fun. He couldn't do it. He refused. He said, I'm going to take my toy and go home. And idiots like you allow that to happen.
Well,
He's a sensitive, artistic soul.
He definitely
was,
wanted to
played
have
the part.
control over the conversation.
He definitely wanted
and he
it,
wasn't
and I wasn't
going to give up any
control.
control.
I wasn't going to give it to him. We're going to talk. We're going to talk how we talk. I didn't say, hey, MrGirl, don't talk like you are. I asked him pointed questions, and he refused to answer because he refused to play it straight. He's a coward.
It's possible.
He's a coward, and he was raped here tonight.
Maybe there's an incompatibility.
No, it's honest. He was raped here tonight. He lost. He took a huge fucking L.
Edwin's generation in the chat may have made the greatest Freudian slit of all time.
What do you say?
He said, Edwin's generation says, MrGirl couldn't Uncle Joe. And then ** handle Joe.
He couldn't uncle me.
He couldn't uncle you.
Joe. Yes.
He couldn't uncle
you, Joe.
He couldn't uncle and he couldn't handle.
He wanted to. I will say once again, you got to dig around, but I would go to maxcarson.com because a lot of his videos get deleted, and there's just some good stuff. Look at some of his old stuff. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I'm interested in looking into it.
He's on the pedophile thing because he's been forced into it. When everybody on the internet calls you a pedophile, and you're a guy who thinks really hard about a number of subjects, you're probably going to go, well, why does everybody think I'm a pedophile? And you guys will say, well, it's because you want to fuck kids. And he's going to say, well, I don't want to fuck kids.
No, it's not just that. Sometimes he sends big signals. Like, he has a song, for example, called I'm a Pedophile. Now, if you listen closely, you can tell that it's kind of satirical. But if you also listen closely, it sounds like he's saying, I'm a pedophile. That's confusing to people.
But wait. Did you hear his follow-up rap?
I kill pedophiles,
I kill
that's
pedophiles.
definitely satire.
Yeah, that was
Why
definitely.
is that definitely satire?
Oh,
The
it
other
was
one's
clear.
Only kind of satire.
Oh, because of the stance. There's a narrative stance here, and he knows all about this. He was talking about a backboard for humor. He knows all about the different layer that he was playing. He was playing meta-irony in the first song. In the second song, it was a lampoon of the kind of person who thinks it's okay to kill pedophiles. One note, one joke premise. Very clear what that target is. In the former, that's just interesting art. Who knows? Is he a pedophile? Is he not? Do we like him? Do we not like him?
Well,
are we okay
I'll
with
say
pedophiles?
this.
He's cool.
If he is a pedophile, he's doing a very good job of convincing me he's not.
Well, that's what most pedophiles do, right? Like, there's a whole grooming theme.
There's 60% of them that molest them say they're not pedophiles, and we believe them.
What was that movie we watched the other night? An Open Secret, or
An Open Secret.
An Open Secret. Yeah. There's tons of people who convince the entire world, industry, parents, everything that they're not pedophiles, and they 100% are, to the point where they're able to do pedophile stuff to people who are stars of all of our media we watch. You know?
I just think that if you wanted everyone to not think you were a pedophile, there are better ways to do it than the meta MrGirl stacking of doubt and disinformation. I think he just would not talk about it.
Maybe there are better ways to do it.
Maybe this is the more fun way to trick everybody.
And once again, I do want to say, you said maxcarson.com is where we can find MrGirl's longer form videos, more interesting. He's got a lot of interesting work. You
can watch him jerk off if you want.
Is that on there? Is that on there?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh my God.
Could we?
Yeah.
He has one called "Why Did I Make a Porn Movie?" And then I think you can watch that as for the explanation. And then you can go on Pornhub and watch, and it's literally just him jerking off for like 15 minutes.
Would you watch MrGirl and Jack Murphy tag team like Lauren Southern or something?
Yeah.
Wow, right? How could you not? Yeah, once again, everybody, maxcarson.com if you want to see the extended MrGirl stuff. I'm interested in watching it. I can separate the art from the artist. I love Polanski. I love Woody Allen. I love MrGirl, the known pederast. I'll watch.
On Pornhub and just search for MrGirl. You can find 7 minutes of him jerking off.
Shut up! Really? Are you cheesing?
Oh, that's what it is. He said, "I want to like to make a porn." So he has one video talking about why he wants to do it, and he like talks to people like his, he's a personal trainer. He talks to his client. He's like, I'm going to make a porn. What do you think? He does some interviews, and then there's just 7.5 minutes of him jerking off on Pornhub, and it's fucking gross.
Do you think personal trainers are predatory by nature?
What?
Terrible question.
I don't think so.
Vito, where do we find you? What's your name on there?
Well, you can find me at youtube.com/Vito. And if you'd like, I don't know. Yeah, check out Biggest Problem in the Universe. The podcast.
It's great. Great show.
It's a good one. And then you can find that all on YouTube. You can just type in Biggest Problem in the Universe. Me and Dick Masterson. I did an episode with MrGirl, and it was terrible. It is considered our worst episode. So if you want to listen to me and MrGirl have a little fight, like he probably did here tonight, I think sometimes he doesn't understand comedy podcasts or something.
Well,
He takes it seriously.
Well, I think he would have been okay with a comedy podcast.
His
if
shtick
it was
got blown
softball.
up. It was like you were playing poker with a guy, and you told him, "Oh, I know what you have. You have kings. I dare you to lay it down or play it." Well, then he was like, "Oh shit! Well, I can't play my fucking hand now, even if it does win."
He's been having all these serious discussions with all these talking heads, and maybe I don't know. I wasn't here when he left. I'll watch the clip.
It's all right.
So what did you argue with him about?
Well, again, we argued that I owed him $50. There was just a number of things. It was a very weird energy in the room.
Vito?
I forget exactly what came up.
Vito?
Yeah.
Tonight, MrGirl was wearing a Chipotle shirt to ingratiate himself with me. You're wearing a WrestleMania shirt to ingratiate yourself with Ben and myself. Was this all information on our docket at DARPA and or CIA, whoever you're working for?
Listen, they always tell us that the quickest way to a man's heart is a novelty T-shirt.
I'm telling you.
And it seems to work.
How did you know that Joe and I only first started watching Evangelion last week? Like, this
Wait,
is
are you guys
fucked.
watching Evangelion right
We just
now?
started Wednesday. We just started.
Are you watching the TV shit? The original?
Yeah, we got to episode 6 or 7, right?
9.
No, episode 9.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, we recently got introduced to Asuka, the redhead. She's been in a couple episodes now.
Yeah, well, she's going to be your waifu for the rest of your life. You
I'm
saw
just
that?
asking, how did the CIA know about that? Loose lip sync ships. We didn't tell enough people that we saw it.
I'm a huge Evangelion fan, and you know what though? It's weird because like it seems like if you watched it in the '90s, it was like, oh, this is a classic, and now I have like people watch it and they go, I don't get it, and I'm like, oh, has everyone just been poisoned by all like this Marvel movie trash that they need like
Could
an easy
be, but
fucking narrative and shit?
I doubt people in the
I
90s
hope
understood
like,
what it was all about. It's
well,
about
part
Kabbalah.
of the appeal. In a very superficial way.
Oh no, that's the entire point. He's making a very straightforward allegory for the creation myth as told in the Zohar. It's very too obvious.
We are only like 9 episodes in, so maybe it makes sense.
That's what it's looking
here,
like.
Yeah.
They even put the fucking tree of life before as the Godhead in front of the guy who's the surrogate for God. I mean, it's so.
I'll tell you that the Japanese do not have a great grasp on Christian theology.
I'm sorry, the Kabbalah is Jewish, my friend.
Well, yeah, of course, but Dead Sea Scrolls and there's a lot of crosses and everything else.
Sure.
What do you call it?
It was reappropriated by the Hermetic tradition.
Japanese people taking a bunch of weird Christian Jewish symbolism and jamming it into a giant robot show is good shit. As we say. I like it.
Well, if it's DARPA, will you say hi to Ted for me?
I'm saying hi to Ted.
If you work for DARPA, if you work for DARPA,
we've got FDR's Cyborg is still here. He's big on stuff. He's always coming up.
What's
with
the pyramid behind you from on the top of the toy shelf?
That's Evangelion.
It is? Okay.
Yeah, that's the main base.
Okay. Yeah.
It's my favorite thing.
You got a lot of toys, man.
I'm a graphic designer.
Yeah, I mean,
so I need colorful garbage around me for inspiration.
Ben likes flags. Everybody has their thing. I have pictures of myself up in my room. Like, we all have our things.
Literally, that's all. Like in Billy's room, it's just pictures of himself.
I just like the look on women's face when they come into my man-child room and everything on the wall is myself. Oh, is this spoilers?
Well, not necessarily, but
are we getting toilers? Toy spoilers?
Could you get an oil painting of yourself laying on a bearskin rug and put it in your room, Billy?
Is that like a Polly Pocket?
It's basically a Mighty Max for Evangelion with all the little figures.
I like how you called it Mighty Max. That's how I know you're a fucking toy boy.
Yeah, because I'm not going to call it Polly Pocket.
Yeah, but Mighty Max was just a Polly Pocket ripoff, right?
No. Well, yeah, I mean, it came out.
Yeah. So I'm historically correct.
I used to watch
you're appealing to the emotion of a toy boy.
I used to watch the animated series from Mighty Max when I was younger.
The reason it was a good. The animated Mighty Max was really good.
Yeah,
actually. I remember loving it.
I used to watch
what
it
I love
school.
about Evangelion is it's about teenagers get aggressively mind raped by aliens, but then it just has like fun, cool toys that do not fit the spirit of the show at all.
Huh.
Like all the merchandising does not. Once you get to the end of Evangelion, you're gonna be like, I can't believe they make toys for this fucking thing. This thing is a psychological nightmare.
Oh, a good friend of ours, we've been watching with him. He recommended it, so we're in with a.
This is a
Universal
Universal Studios Japan Evangelion popcorn bucket. So, if you ever need to eat some popcorn out of a giant robot head,
Vito, we're gonna raise enough money to get that king size bed together at the Star Wars. We're gonna.
Why do you want to go to that?
For one, I want to be the counterpoint because I saw Vito's stuff. It's come from a very negative point. I want to go in.
You're on board.
I want to go in as gung ho, and then I want to be let down.
You know? It's awful, man. Like everything I've seen. About...
And I want to cuddle with Vito in the
First
middle of the
all,
night.
the whole point of taking a cruise is to go somewhere. And on this fake space cruise,
in a concrete bunker.
Right. You're sleeping in a bunker, basically.
Yeah.
The rooms are not luxurious, from what I've seen.
Well, they're like a cruise. And it's a submersive reality.
I would rather go on a cruise.
Well, you could go on a cruise, or you could be submersed into a reality brought to you by Disney's Star Wars.
With bad actors everywhere, and you got to play along.
I stay here and deal with bad faith actors on a daily basis.
I watched a whole bunch of stuff on it, and they kind of go through the itinerary in the videos that I've seen. It just seems like a lot of like unnecessary work when you're on a fake cruise.
Vito, I know a lot of top-rated prostitutes in the Orlando area. If we go together,
we can bring them along.
we could get a little fill up them kids' beds. You know what I'm saying? Room for 4.
Well, I was talking to Tony from Hack the Movies because the whole point is that you're supposed to like role play, like you're supposed to be a Jedi or an Empire guy.
Yeah.
I want to be someone who's just like really racist to Twi'leks. Like I just fucking hate them.
Should we be
Because there's a bunch of like
guards?
Twi'lek actors in the ship, and I just wanted to be dancing. I go, look at that fucking Twi'lek whore. Think she's entertaining us?
I know a
Fuck
couple
her.
Twi'lek horrors too. Like
yeah.
Vito, let's go. Let's dress up like Gamorrean guards. We'll be painted green with our pig noses, our cod pieces. We'll just fuck whatever moves. We don't care.
Yeah.
We're pigs.
Yeah. Go, we're Gamorreans. What? I want to be a Hutt. I want to have a full Jabba the Hutt, and I'm gonna like just go into the fucking dining room and knock shit over.
Yeah. Do you think?
Well, as a member of the Hutt royalty, I take whatever table I want.
We could probably get like a suit that has jelly inside of it to like look like fat rolls. We're just like oota goota and stumbling over shit. That'd be pretty chill.
Can you imagine if you had a full Jabba the Hutt cosplay on the fucking
Have we
thing and
seen
you go,
anything
"What?
close to
I
that?"
paid $8,000 to be here.
Yeah. Has anybody
No.
cosplayed as Jabba yet? Like at any Comic-Con or anything?
No, they're all being bitches. It's all fat 50-year-old guys dressing up like Jedis.
Yeah.
I've been looking at more pictures of these I'm in like the Facebook group for like all the people who are going to this thing just so I get news on what's going on. And it's just literally like grandpas being like, today I got my pictures taken on the bridge of the Cybertron. And I'm like, oh my God.
Well,
it's like being in the worst Star Wars movie.
One of our buddies from the show, a guy who has been watching for a long time, he does armor, like the fat armor. He makes the cosplay full fat armor, but he's a bigger guy. So he's like got this like chunky but dope ass armor, and it always made me jealous.
It's like Mandalorian armor.
Yeah, he makes the full Mandalorian stuff for a big guy body. Like I wonder if I could talk him into making you and I a couple of Hutt suits, then we can have fucking family style Leia chain Hutt sex in our $7,000 a night room.
You can be the Hutt, and I will put on the slave Leia fucking costume.
Yeah.
And you go, what? It's my slave. That's legal in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, it's true.
And then you can whip me like we're having like a
yes.
this is our SNF.
I'll whip you into a frenzy.
Did Joe
Let's
just
go.
leave again?
Yeah.
I remember we were doing a show not too long ago, and Joe just left.
No,
Did you guys-
Joe rode with me.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah,
is
so
he walking home?
We'll be riding away into the sunset together.
Okay.
He's probably doing a pee and
Oh, okay.
or a hate crime.
Oh, okay.
I gotta make I did have some girl send me a bunch of messages going. I went to that Star Wars hotel and it fucking sucks. And she's saying that she knows all the other like Disney influencer people who go and they go, no, it's so great. It's like living your own fantasy. And he's like, all those people are lying. I talked to them. They don't like it. They know it's too much money. They just want to get invited back by Disney.
Yeah, it doesn't sound that great to me, but I still want to do it if it means you and I can cuddle and play master slave role.
Wow.
How about I'm a really old Padawan who just can't get it together. Like I've been teaching them for 25 years how to be a Jedi, and I'm like, look, man, it's just hard. Just
And
stop. Come down
you
on
only
me.
signed up to be a Padawan because you wanted me to like MrGirl you. You were like,
Yeah.
You were like, come on, Michael Jackson, do me right. And you're like holding on to the idea now at 30-something years old that I'm still gonna see that boyish
Trying to
look
get
in
me
your
to
eye.
groom you. No one is going to groom you.
It's
Come
not.
on. Come on. You can get like $500 back if you sell the exclusive lightsaber from the Halcyon Star Cruiser.
Do you only get one lightsaber per visit, or
You can't load up, yeah. And you gotta pay. I mean, you gotta pay $200 for the lightsaber. I think.
Huh.
They don't give you any like free shit, really.
Dude, just take a real cruise.
That's what I'm saying.
But a
That's what
real
I want.
cruise is fine. This is something else. Like if you're rich, you're like, hey, this is cool. I'm like in a cruise, but I'm in Star Wars, and I'm gonna take my kids somewhere that'll be a little more magical than getting seasick.
I want to raise $10,000 or whatever it would cost to make my own Star Wars hotel at one night experience and see if I can make a better one. I think I could.
Let's just go to like one of these crackhead alleys and They have like these crackhead alleys. They film live stream and it's like bums smoking. Let's turn it into like a little cantina situation.
I like how now it's crackhead alley.
Yeah, like the crack alleys. They live stream. We'll show up. We'll get them all to dress up.
What if we set up a Star Wars cantina in an alleyway of L.A.
Yeah,
and just invite all the homeless.
And we'll get like
put
4
fucking stupid alien heads on them and shit, and we charge admission.
Between you and I, we know enough people who are influencers. We'll give them free tickets to the event. They'll come down. They'll think it's so fucking dope. They'll be tweeting about it. It'll blow the fuck up. We'll have like I don't know.
Tell them that it's just homeless people.
Scarlett Johansson will come by and kick it and drink fucking rot beer with a fucking homeless man.
Tell them it's an exciting pop-up bar experience.
Exactly.
And then we put homeless people in fucked up alien face paint, make them look like Darth Maul and shit.
Yeah.
And just set them loose and we go, just interact. They're actors. They're part of the experience. Role play with.
We should really cut off one of their hands too with like a lightsaber, but it's like a sword.
Midway through the show.
Yeah, and just really chop off one of their homeless hands. That'd be fucking mega cool.
That'd be super dope, sick, rad. To the max.
We're gonna end the show because I just realized we've been on forever.
Yeah, we have.
And
I was just letting you roll with it. You were on fire. What
Vito,
can I say?
I want to thank you for coming on. Joe, I want to thank you for making a very memorable moment.
Yeah,
it was. I thought we were gonna do something different, but it was just fine the way it was.
My pleasure.
And I know we would have had a good show if it would have ended 3 minutes in. We would have had fun regardless.
No, we gotta make it last a little bit.
It would have worked. I trust Joe.
It worked very well.
Yeah, I want to thank you, Ben, for setting everything up and having Mr. Girl on. I want to thank Mr. Girl, and I apologize that everything didn't go the way that you had planned. I know it's
Vito. You were great.
Yeah,
you were a great second act.
I'm always great, but thank you.
Yeah,
and I feel.
I don't know about other
hope
times.
Mr. Girl doesn't feel like I'm here trying to run interference for him or anything. I just hopped
You've
on.
been very
you
supportive of him.
You derailed him, and that's good.
Yeah.
You made it clear. You made it clear that he was less cool than you, and I think that's been the crux of your friendship from the
it feels
get-go.
like a lot of the time I do end up getting like called on to defend Mr. Girl, and I hope he doesn't feel like I'm trying to make a career out of it. It just happens.
Well, I don't think you
But
came on.
I do love you, Mr. Girl, and you make great stuff.
Yeah, but he's not allowed to be at the Star Wars night with us, right? That's just me and you and the Twilight sluts.
There's kids there. Come on.
Yeah.
All right. Fine, it's a joke, Mr. Girl. See, now I'm ruining my friendship.
He's okay with jokes. Like
he's okay.
He doesn't understand comedy because I landed a couple of big
jokes at his
ones.
own expense. Yeah. Fair enough.
No, he's good.
YouTube.com/Vito and of course YouTube.com/Biggest Problem. Great podcast. We should put together a Drunken Peasants Dick Show cruise, man. All the podcasts.
Years ago, me and Dick talked about doing a show together. It just never happened.
Do you have a cruise connect, or do we have to do it at the homeless place and just cruise through on a fucking throw everybody in the back of a rental van?
I think you can set up themed cruises. They do it for all of this. You ever read about like the Weezer cruise they do like every year? Yeah, you just if you're gonna fill a cruise ship, they go, yeah, what the fuck, take over a cruise ship. We don't care. I bet we could fill a cruise ship if we got enough shows.
Yeah, let's
just do a bunch of live podcast recordings and shit. I don't know. Maybe
let's go. Let's set it up. Let's make it happen. Let's go on a fucking cruise. We'll do Star Wars theme for the real weirdos. You and I will be part of the Star Wars theme part of it.
Star Wars. Yeah,
we'll have our own little Star Wars cruise there on the cruise, and everybody can pay like $80 extra to have a Gamorrean guard picture on the fucking wall. Yeah, a little pig hand job. We'll paint ourselves green and jerk them. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.